RBT family, what is the deal? It's your dog Willie Jack, and we are back, baby, back with more NFL draft action. What's going on? What's going on? How's everybody doing? How's everybody feeling? Hold on, let me get my camera together. There we go. There we go. Hold on, man. I tell y'all what, this draft season, there's a lot of things we can say, but I tell you what, it has not disappointed as far as I don't know what surprising. What's the right way to term it? Let me get myself together. There we go. There we go. But nah, man, we here, man. We at the home stretch. We at the home stretch. Day 3, rounds 4 through 7 today. And I tell y'all what, man, be honest. I was tripping. I had planned to be ready at the start of the draft. So I told myself 12 o'clock. It's 12 o'clock Eastern. 11 o'clock Central. Tripping. Don't matter. We here. We here. And if you didn't know, of course I'm gonna watch I watch every pick every year anyway. So, but man, I'm telling you what, as you can see by the title, it is no surprise why we are here as well, man. We got to see what's going on with Shadeur. We got to see where Shadeur lands in this whole ordeal. Shadeur watch is in full effect. There was a lot of smoke that turned out to be fire about Shadeur, not let alone not going in the top 10, but not going in the first round. And that ended up proving to be true. And then, of course, I'm sure we'll talk about it, whether you agree or disagree or whatever the case. But still crazy to imagine, man. Especially seeing some of the names. I think what's making it worse is seeing some of the names at the quarterback position that have been drafted, and him not being amongst that grouping. So I mean, that's probably one of the more surprising things as well. Like, this was always going to be this was always considered a down draft class by comparison. So that was no secret. There was not a lot of hyper buzz surrounding this year's crop of quarterbacks, especially coming off of a year like last year in which, we saw 6 guys go in the top 12, ending with Bo Nix, right? Then even regardless of how you felt with Bo Nix, it was no secret that Sean Payton had his eye on him, and so he was anticipated to go. But the class this year definitively was not thought to be as highly considered or thought of as highly as that class. And that's just the truth. And then honestly, if we think about it, I mean, going into this season, if you pay attention, if you follow this stuff like I do, so the names going into this season, of course, the kind of the chosen guy, I didn't see it, and it panned out that way this season. But Carson Beck was the proverbial kind of like next guy up for a lot of pundits, and then that crashed and burned. And then of course now he transfers to Miami, gets $4.3 million, and gets Nico in his feelings. Like, how in the hell Carson Beck get 4.3 playing as trash as he played, and now he leaves Tennessee and now he's in UCLA. That's another story. We got time. We can talk about all of that. But be that as it may, this year's class is always going to be a down year class. I said all of that to say that. And so closer to that, gosh, was that the 2022 class? The year my Steelers took Kenny Pickett. So this class is better than that class, but it's closer to that class, I guess, than it is last year's class, which was relatively stacked. And then also next year's class, the projected class for next year is also another class that's projected to be pretty loaded. Now, whether we don't know who's actually going to come out, but of course the headlining eligible for next year's draft class and Archie Manning from Texas. Now, whether or not you think he'll actually come out, that's something else that remains to be seen. But he would be the headliner in that class, as he will be eligible, right? Drew Allar, strong arm prospect from Penn State. Carson Beck is still kicking around. Maybe he'll salvage his draft stock in Miami. We'll see. Nico and Yimanama. You know what I mean? I'm glad you got your bag, bro. I'm glad you out there in sunny California and UCLA. I hope he balls out. Me personally, I hope he balls out, man. And so I hope he balls out and and shows himself well. And then this time next year. I hope to see him going as a high draft pick as well. Um, Man, Nussmeier from LSU. Next year's class is pretty loaded. Next year's class is pretty stacked, and so it is just kind of just one of those kind of the ebb and flow of how these things tend to go. And so in a down year, Cam Ward was able to kind of be the cream that rose to the top, and then Shadeur as well, who there's a lot of conversation around Shadeur. I mean, none of that's there's no secret there, but regardless of what we say, man, kid can play. I mean, strongest arm, no. Best athlete, no. Most accurate, probably, right? Most, I guess, poised, and not necessarily from a stance. I'm not talking about from the stance of like dealing with pressure, because he's not a fantastic athlete. He does have, what am I trying to say here? He does have deficiencies in his like pocket manipulation, right? Now, also, I think even with that, we have to like address a caveat of just how poor his offensive line was. And so, yeah, he did have a habit of drifting in the pocket for sure, holding on to the ball a little long, trying to make plays. But and so I think, and also that scheme, you know what I mean? Like, there's a lot of things that we could say, but even looking through all of that, I see a quarterback that was worthy to go in the first round, especially in a draft like this year, right, where it is down and there were multiple teams needy or in need of a quarterback. So I definitely think he's still. We've got a trade. Bears have traded picks with the Bills. Okay, so the Bills are coming up. Let's see who they get. But be that as it may, man, whatever we say, one thing that shouldn't be debatable is that he does have the look of the makings of an NFL caliber quarterback. Now, what caliber quarterback are we talking? Is it Lamar Jackson, Patrick Mahomes, Josh Allen? No, maybe not. Those guys are outliers in any era ever. You know what I mean? So how many guys are going to be considered at that level? But this is the thing that we talk about. For all the stuff that we say and critique and talk down or dismiss, for all the dismissiveness we give to guys like Kirk Cousins, Tua Tagovailoa, Brock Purdy, Matt Ryan, going back, Kurt Warner. You know what I mean? There's more of those, Andy Dalton. There's more of those guys than there are Josh Allen's, Patrick Mahomes, Lamar Jackson's. You know what I'm saying? Like, the league isn't made up of 30 Matthew Staffords. That's not the league. You know what I mean? Like, there's generally four or five of those style of like outlier guys. The bulk of everybody else's quarterback in the league is closer to Kirk Cousins than they are to Patrick Mahomes. And so there's nothing wrong with Shadeur being a part of that other group, because those guys have jobs and those guys are successful. Now, also the conversation is, okay, well, what's that worth in the draft setting, right? Well, some of that's going to be subjective to the time and the class that you come out. And so maybe some years, like Kenny Pickett was able to strike when the iron was hot, and my Steelers were a little desperate because there wasn't much, there just wasn't many options, right? And so now in a different year, Kenny Pickett's a third-round quarterback. He's probably still in Pittsburgh right now, backing up as a backup to somebody. Or if things played out the same, maybe now he's slated to get his first chance to start. But it is what it is, right? And so is Shadeur a round one quarterback in every single draft? Maybe not, right? But in this year's draft, yeah, he was. He was. And so I know there's definitely been a lot of talk about if there's some large scale cabal, you know what I mean, that's got it out for him, or that's determined to make an example of him and his dad, his pops, primetime Coach Prime, Deion Sanders. I don't necessarily know. I don't necessarily think it's necessarily that deep. I do think, and I'm saying this as a fan of Shadeur, Coach Prime, and I want him on my team. You see what's going on, man? Y'all see what's going on? It's still big nation business. So I want him on my team. I've got Mason Rudolph and Skylar Thompson in my quarterback room right now. And then Aaron Rodgers is somewhere on ayahuasca trying to decide whether or not he wants to give it one more go. You know what I mean? So I'm as desperate or needy for a quarterback as anybody. I want Shadeur. So I say this and I don't feel no ways about it. I do think that him and his team, they may have misplayed. Well, not even may. At this point, I think it's safe to say they misplayed their hand, man. They misplayed their hand this draft season. They really did. And I think, and not to say that they did anything that was unprecedented, because Prime coming out and saying, "Hey, my son ain't just going anywhere." You know what I mean? Like we're looking for specific situations to give him the best chance to succeed. There's nothing wrong with that message. Now, maybe the delivery could have came off as a little brash, but it is what it is. You know what I mean? Like, it didn't hurt Eli Manning and Archie. You know what I'm saying? So it's been done. It didn't hurt John Elway. You know what I mean? So it's been done. So it's not like this was unprecedented territory when, Coach Sanders came out and was making those style of remarks, right? And so that's not it. But then on the other side of that, or the other point of that as well, is just the remaining part of the process. Like, I think that definitely turned off a lot of organizations for sure. You know what I'm saying? One way or the other, it is what it is. But like I said, the Chargers weren't that turned off when they still picked Eli, then got forced to trade him to New York. The Colts weren't that pissed off about it when they still drafted John Elway and were forced to trade him to the Denver Broncos. Or, you know what I'm saying? So it is what it is. But I don't know, man, the rest of the process, like the part that I don't like is it doesn't sound like he handled his business on the other side. Like all that's well and good, but you still got to handle your business, big dog. You still got to show up. You got to show up on these meetings. You still have to do the rest of the part, because at the end of the day, it is a job interview. It is an interview. You know what I mean? So you do have an interview is selling yourself to a prospective company. Anybody watching this show that's grown, or even if you're not grown, if you have a job, if someone else pays you for your time, right, and you are at they hired you at their leisure. And so when you went in to introduce yourself and sell yourself to this company, right, come off as personable and exhibit characteristics or features, show parts of your personality that makes them want to bring you in. That's the part that it sounds like did not go well. And this ain't none of my business. I'm not an insider. You know what I'm saying? I don't want to pretend to be. But just the grapevine or whatever, the stories that are out there, it sounds like the meeting or the interaction between Shadeur and Brian Daboll, head coach for the New York Giants, was an utter disaster. And what's crazy is there was a point in this process where it looked like the Giants were aligning themselves or setting up themselves, or it looked to be like that was going to be apparent. But like Cam Ward was, generally speaking, the number one guy in this class at the quarterback position, right? And so I don't think there's been much contestation there, like as we actually got into the process and got to looking at film. So that's not necessarily a secret. And then, of course, Tennessee, as they were doing their own diligence, right, it was even a consideration that they may go after Abdul Carter. They may not want a quarterback because, like I said, this quarterback class wasn't considered highly going in, right? But then the more, they do their diligence, they fall in love with the prospect, they make it, man, we're sticking with Cam. And so there was a phase in this draft season in which the Giants and Shadeur were like locked in. You know what I mean? Like all the interactions that we got to see between him and staff, him and Daboll, they had like, they had put together a little, a little special dap, a little special shake or something like that. You know what I mean? So it looks like that relationship was budding and trending in the right direction, right? And then, hold on, the Jets. Now, the Jets are a scary team. Okay. I was thinking, man, the Jets, I know they got Justin Fields. They got him from my Steelers. Maybe paid a little bit of a premium, but I'm not mad at them and not mad at him. You know what I mean? And they said they were committed to him for at least these next 2 seasons, but they're still a team now in the 4th round. When Shadeur's sitting there, I wouldn't have been surprised if they said, hey, the value maybe trumps specific need at this time, but they went a different direction. But I say all that to say, getting back on track, that the meetings, especially once we got to the crux of the process, combine meetings, formal meetings, etc., things like this. That this is where he may have cost himself $30 million or so by falling from out of the top 5 to now we're on day 3 and we're hoping that he gets picked at 123 to my Steelers. That's where it went. But the thing that was that I was kept hearing or seeing, and shout out to Todd McShay. You know what I mean? Todd McShay was telling the stories against Brian Daboll, and I don't think this is anything special in particular. I think a lot of teams do this with a lot of quarterbacks, especially in that class of where they at. I guess they gave him some style of package, some style of package that when he came back for the meeting, they of course wanted to see how he retained or was able to process or break down the information that they had given him. And from according to Todd McShay, shout out to Todd McShay. According to Todd McShay, Shadeur maybe didn't even open that book, or he just it sounds like he didn't make it a point to, I guess, do the homework assigned to him by the Giants. And so then when Daboll gets him in the room, he's like, hey man, let's get into it. Boom, boom, boom. Shadeur, I guess, I don't even know if it wasn't prepared. I think the feeling maybe even more so is that he just didn't give it any mind or any credence. It was kind of more so a presentation like, hey, man, I am what I am. You didn't see me play ball. I done did this everywhere I done went. Like, it was less about, trying to win someone over or trying to sell himself versus, how am I trying to say it? Like, it was less about trying to win over Daboll and those guys and just more about like, hey, look, man, I'm a player. I'm a baller. Like, hey, we can make this thing work. I'm not jumping through no hoops. I'm not like, it is what it is. And, maybe that works for some folks. Sometimes that probably can work. Sometimes. But not this time, not this team, not this draft season, not this prospect. Because I'm not going to say he's the only player or prospect, quarterback aside, that was in a position in which they had superior leverage. Because that's what it's about. It's leverage. Who has the leverage? And I think Shadeur and Coach Prime and maybe his camp, I think they misread their leverage. I don't think they had enough leverage or draft capital as they thought they did, and as a lot of us assumed that they did when this whole process started. I don't think they had the style or amount of cachet or leverage that they thought they did. And so then, because people will pull up with anything if you're worth it. Ask Mike Tyson. Like, we'll never know, man, if the Walls in Pittsburgh can talk, we'll never know just how crazy things may or may not have got behind the scenes with Antonio Brown. But the thing about that is leverage. What are you worth? You know what I mean? We'll put up a lot more when you give us 1,500 yards and 15 touchdowns and 115 catches a year, every year, for a span of, you know what I'm saying? Like, is it fair? Is it right? No, yeah, it is. Because if we're getting what we're paying for, you know what I mean? So if you are that style of player, then yeah, teams will put up with stuff. But if you're not that caliber player, if you're not Lawrence Taylor, Bill Belichick, right? How many more coaches do we feel are more no nonsense than Bill Belichick? More stern, more old school, more, you know what I mean? His whole mantra, do your job, no frills. I'm on the sideline with a hoodie with the sleeves cut off in the rain, soaked. You know what I mean? You know his favorite player all time was Lawrence Taylor. You know what I mean? Now think about Lawrence Taylor. Now I'm talking off field, right? So it's leverage. What's your value? Because value above anything else will trump any of that other noise. Don't let anybody lie to you or fool you. We'll put up with LT sleeping in meetings. We'll pull up with LT having, you know what I'm saying, partying. I'm like, it ain't my business. Y'all do your Googles, man, if you need me to tell you. We'll put up with all of that when you're a guy that's a true difference maker, a guy that truly transcends the game. That's what LT was. Guys like Randy Moss, Terrell Owens, Antonio Brown. You know what I'm saying? Like, we've seen it. Aaron Rodgers. People don't enjoy Aaron Rodgers' company. And now and as he's gotten older, people's patience and tolerance for him and his own attitudes or quirks have waned. Because now he doesn't have the same leverage he did in his prime. It's easier to put up with him and kiss his ass when he's 29-year-old Aaron Rodgers, throwing for 4,500 yards, 40 touchdowns, and 5 picks a season, winning an MVP every 3 years. So yeah, we'll put up with it. But now that you're 39, it's a little less juice on the arm. You just as cranky and moody and ornery as ever. Well, now we don't want to put up with it. We don't have to now. You don't have the same leverage. And I think that's what's going on with Shadeur in my mind. I think they overestimated their leverage. You know what I'm saying? Like, and not to say that you shouldn't be confident in yourself or your own ability, but if you see yourself on the level of Joe Burrow, Patrick Mahomes, and Lamar, that's fine. But it doesn't mean that everybody else sees you in that same lens. Where you may see yourself as Joe Burrow, somebody else may see you as Teddy Bridgewater. Where you may see yourself as Patrick Mahomes, somebody else may see Kirk Cousins. You feel what I'm saying? Like, that's what this is about. You see yourself as Peyton Manning, somebody else sees you as Brock Purdy. And that's what happened. That's what happened in my mind. And not to say that those guys aren't very damn good quarterbacks. They are. Brock Purdy's been to more Super Bowls than Dak Prescott. Now, Dak Prescott also isn't a guy that we would have in the same tier as a Josh Allen, et cetera, et cetera. Brock Purdy's been to more Super Bowls than Josh Allen. There we go. Brock Purdy's been to more Super Bowls than Lamar Jackson. I'm not here to say he did it on his own. I'm not here to say that he's the core catalyst or that things didn't have to be set up for him in a certain way. But believe it or not, regardless of what everyone tries to say, all quarterbacks need that setup. So it's not just Brock Purdy that needs a team around him. You know what I mean? So we can get that out the way. But regardless of any of that, none of it matters if you don't perform in the spot you're in. Brock Purdy's in that spot in San Francisco with talent around him, and know what he did? He maximized it. He did what Alex Smith couldn't do. He did what Jimmy Garoppolo couldn't do. Did what Trey Lance couldn't do, right? So there's still value there. If you're telling me that Shadeur can take a team to the heights that Brock Purdy did with a similar style of athleticism and arm strength, shit, I'll take it. Why wouldn't I? Well, he doesn't have all these things. Yeah, that's cool. I love Josh Allen. He's got all those. He ain't been to the Super Bowl. And I'm not putting it on Josh. That's not even what I'm getting off tangent. But what I'm saying is there is still value in that caliber of athlete or that caliber of arm strength. Like, there's still value in those style of quarterbacks, such as Shadeur Sanders. And those level of quarterbacks as far as athletically and arm strength wise, etc., those guys also do go in the first round. So he could have been, and very well should have been, possibly, a first round quarterback, and he wasn't. Like I said, and I think more than anything, more than any cabal or anybody who's just destined or determined to make a point to Deion or make a point to Shadeur or make a point to whatever, deeper than any of that, I think they misplayed their leverage. And they did so almost out the gate. Like when Coach Prime came out and set the rules about, nah, man, it's about 4 teams that can draft my son. Like, you know, and it's not, I'm not, like I said, again, I'm not saying that was a precedent. Wasn't mind-blowing. Like we've heard messaging that way before. Now maybe he just delivered it with a little more swag that people was comfortable with. But he's Prime. But the message is still the same. If we didn't land base Archie Manning for it, I'm not gonna land base Coach Prime for it. So boom, it is what it is. But be that as it may, man, 123 is where I'm hoping is the spot. 123, the 4th round, my Steelers. Aaron Rodgers very well still may not show up. I'm not convinced that Aaron is going to show up. Honestly, I'm really not. And the thing about it is, I know there's been a lot of talk. People are saying, well, why are the Steelers entertaining it and da-da-da-da? And I don't get that. That's what I don't get. Well, y'all should just tell them, kick rock, screw you. You should have came here right out the gate. There shouldn't be any conversation. There shouldn't be anything to think about. No, whatever. That sounds stupid. Because the thing about it is, well, what's the difference if we leave the door open and he doesn't show up? Guess what? We don't have Aaron Rodgers. If we close the door prematurely, we don't have Aaron Rodgers. So there's nothing wrong with leaving the door open. Like I just don't get the other conversation about that. I just don't get the other conversation about that. You know what I mean? And so yeah, so I'm not opposed to Aaron bringing his old ass down to Pittsburgh. Let's see what we can do. Let's see what we can do. But I do want us to take Shadeur now. I want him. I want him, and especially if it's going to be between Shadeur and Will Howard at 123. I want Shadeur. Will Howard is a bigger body. He's more athletic. All those things, and those are things that are definitely important in the Steelers' offense, especially with Arthur Smith. Arthur Smith is no secret. He wants an athletic, a mobile, run threat style of quarterback to help accentuate his wide zone scheme that he likes to employ. That's why he was such a fan of Justin Fields and wanted to ride it out with Justin Fields over Russell Westbrook, even when that Justin Fields train started to lose a little bit of steam, and it did. But regardless of that, he wanted him because that's a guy he wanted to bank on that athleticism, and like I said, get the best out of his offense with that style of player. So that still rings true. Shadeur isn't a perfect scheme fit, or he isn't the ideal necessarily scheme fit that Arthur Smith is probably looking for because of the more limited athleticism. But it doesn't mean that especially in the fourth round, because at a certain point, the draft is just as much about value as anything else. It's just as much about value as it is getting the right player. Like, that's the part we also leave out sometimes. Like, you can get the good player and it still be a bad pick. Like, the Patriots drafting Tom Brady when they did is an all-time great pick because they got him in the sixth round and he developed into what he is. If they'd have drafted Tom Brady in the first round of that draft, it'd have been an all-time reach. It'd have been an all-time reach until, the Super Bowls kicked in, when they kick in the specific circumstances around it. So that's what I'm saying. So it's like we can't get too caught up. We can't watch this thing we can't put the hindsight lenses on when we evaluate these things. Tom Brady would have been a disastrous pick if he was picked in the first round. So it is what it is. Hold on. Okay, now Trevor Etienne just went to the Panthers. I liked Trevor Etienne. I didn't love Trevor Etienne. I didn't like the other Etienne brother coming out as well when he's coming out of Clemson. All right, he just didn't necessarily float my boat. He didn't necessarily float my boat. But he's a smaller, complementary style of back. I think he's 5'9", just over 200 pounds. He's got pretty good speed, especially in the open field. I do think he's going to be able to be a nice change of pace guy, a solid receiver out of the backfield. So, yeah, I can see him being a compliment, just like a third back in that room with Chuba Hubbard. And then, of course, they drafted Jonathan Brooks out of Texas last year. He was coming off an ACL, and then he re-tore his ACL in Carolina. But yeah, no, not a bad pick, especially here. Now, I'll tell you, I picked a guy that I really love, man, especially as a running back. I really like. Well, R.J. Harvey was probably outside of Ashton Genty. R.J. Harvey going to Denver, the bottom of the second round, I believe. Unless I'm tripping, I think it was bottom of the second round. Or was at the top of the third, whatever it was. R.J. Harvey going to Denver, man, I love it. R.J. Harvey's a stud. R.J. Harvey is a stud, man. I would have loved him as a sleeper pick for my Steelers. But he doesn't necessarily have the size profile that we generally go for. Mike Tomlin's been pretty consistent, man. Mike Tomlin wants a big body, sturdy built back, man, that we can ground and pound when the time comes for AFC North football, playoff football, outside weather, cold weather, rainy, muddy football. That's why you see us trend towards, and this is even before Mike Tomlin. This has been in the Steelers' DNA since the beginning. Franco Harris was a 6'1", 230 pounds. Going and getting Jerome Bettis, 5'11", 6 foot, 250 pounds. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's always been bigger backs. When Tomlin got there, Le'Veon Bell, 6'1", 230 pounds. James Conner, 220 pounds. You know what I mean? Bigger backs. Najee Harris, 6'1", 245 pounds. And so Caleb Johnson is in that mode as well. He's 6'1", I think 225 pounds. So very, like I said, big, solid built back. He's also perfect for the scheme that Arthur Smith runs in Pittsburgh, that wide zone scheme, wide zone savant. That's a description that's been used to describe Caleb Johnson. And so this pick lined up for me. That's why I was talking with some friends. We're talking about if Shadeur was going to be the pick for the Steelers at 83, because nobody expected him to be there. And I was like, yeah. Mike, like by all reports, Mike Tomlin hit it off with him. Mike Tomlin doesn't have those same, and I don't necessarily even want to call them insecurities, but he wasn't put off by Shadeur's confidence in himself or the way he carried himself by all reports, right? So I was like, man, I'd love to see it. Then I checked the big board, and I'm like, oh no, Caleb Johnson's there. We getting Caleb Johnson. Like he was one of those guys earmarked for the Steelers, along with Derek Harmon. That's why even in the first round when he fell to 21, there was a part of me that was hoping, like, man, I'm not gonna lie. If somebody else takes Derek Harmon, then there's a shot we get Shadeur. But in my mind, if Derek Harmon was there, he was a Steeler, and it came to fruition. And the same thing with Caleb Johnson, man, in the third round. I was all in on for us to get Shadeur in the third last night at 83. Then I checked the big boards, like, oh no, Caleb Johnson's there. I'd be hard pressed to see us pass Caleb Johnson to get him. And I wouldn't have been mad at it, because in my mind there were still a lot of good backs left. So let's say if we miss on Caleb, if we don't take Caleb Johnson there, then in this fourth round, or at least at the time, Bashul Tootin was still on the board, who I really like. I really like DJ Giddens as well for Kansas State. He's still on the board right now as well. So DJ Giddens is a guy that I could have saw at like 123, because he's got decent size. He's a little leaner, but he's like 6 foot, 210, 212. A little leaner of a build than like a Najee or a Le'Veon Bell or a Caleb Johnson now, but still has pretty decent size. Way more shiftiness and agility and burst than you would expect. I think he moves like a much smaller back. I really like DJ Giddens. So if you telling me we could have got Shadeur at 83, circled back and got DJ Giddens at 123, I'm ready to party. I'm on board. And honestly, I was talking to my dog Chop. This morning a little bit, and I was like, "Hey, dog, like I get it. Yeah, Shadeur should be off the board, and yeah, maybe we should." I mean, he was like, "Man, y'all should take me 83." Like, yeah, maybe, but also let's not forget the draft is just as much about value as it is getting the right player. At this point, we're bidding against ourselves speaking for the Steelers, and this is if we're in the Shadeur market. We're betting against ourselves. We don't have to rush and take him at 83 if he's going to be there for us at 123. That means we get another player. We get another player we thought highly of, another starter. Derek Harmon and Caleb Johnson are going to start day one. If we drafted Shadeur 21 or drafted Shadeur at 83, he may not start. Because if A-Rod does decide to play football again this year, well, guess what? He's the guy. And so now we missed on one of those two guys who are definitive starters at definitive needs on the team, only for Shadeur to sit there and watch Aaron Rodgers play all this year. You know what I'm saying? So the value didn't necessarily line up. So yeah, we got to get Derek Harmon. Derek Harmon's going to start tomorrow. And then also, he's the guy that we need to take the mantle from Cam Hayward, who's still playing all-pro ball at 36. So that's we need that guy. We need that guy, right? Caleb Johnson. We don't have a starting running back. We got Jaylen Warren. He's been kind of a complement or dual role back with Najee. But if you're asking me if I'm comfortable turning over the reins to him as the full-time starter, I'm not. I'm not, honestly. Not me, myself. And I like him as a player. But honestly, I don't think he did enough in those instances going back and forth with Najee. And a lot of people maybe don't notice this or catch this. There was a lot of talk for, man, start Jalen. There was a stretch there for a few games where we kind of leaned more to Jalen to see if he could kind of take over or maybe handle that load of being the one. I don't think he performed well. He put the ball on the ground a couple times. That infamous play that probably got Deontay Johnson cut, the fumble, Deontay Johnson didn't give a damn to track it down or chase it down. When Cincinnati picked up the ball and damn near could have been a touchdown. Right? It was a Jaylen Warren fumble. It was a Jalen Warren fumble, right? And so, yeah, man. I don't, not to say I want him on the team. I'm not geeked to just go into the season with him as the starting guy. No, man. Caleb Johnson's gonna start day one. I think he should. I think he should. So that's two starters. Two starters. And then I think it's the right call because he's still on the board. We're gonna pick 117. The Rams are on the board, and Shadeur's still available. The Rams are an interesting team, I think, as well. Stash him, get him in the building with Sean McVay. Matthew Stafford's got another, let's say, 2 years. There's been a lot of talks. They almost, you know what I mean, parted ways. You know what I mean? But then that second half push they made, turning their season around, taking the Super Bowl champion Eagles to the brink in the snow in Philly, right? And they're 5 minutes away from going to the Super Bowl. So the Rams are definitely a team that are still firmly in the mix, but at the same time, Matthew Stafford's running out of time, it looks like. I know they reworked everything. Everybody made up. They brought him back. They gave him a little money, but what's that good for? 2 more years? So Shadeur could have been interesting there, perhaps. They end up going with Jarquez Hunter, running back. Where is he from? Oh, running back from Auburn. See, I don't like his pick, man. DJ Giddens is on the board. DJ Giddens is a guy for me, man. I really enjoy DJ Giddens' game. I really enjoyed DJ Giddens' game, man. DJ Giddens, for me, was like in my top 7 running backs. Honestly. Oh, hold on. Who in there? Mom Deuce in the building. Appreciate you. What's going on? Yeah, and honestly, I wasn't sure if I was going to go live or not. You know what I mean? But, it's Sunday, and Shadeur Sanders, Deion Sanders' son, still ain't been drafted. So I was like, man, hey, man, I might as well go ahead and tap in with the folks. I'm just going to be sitting here watching the draft anyway. So I'll go ahead and, especially with everything going on surrounding surrounding Shadeur Sanders and him being drafted or not, should he have been, all the conversation around it. It felt like a good enough reason to go ahead and pop the camera on and just sit here and talk a little talk while I'm just watching the draft. That's all. I appreciate you as always. I appreciate you as always. All right, the Falcons are up at pick 118. Have their young quarterback at Michael Penix. Next is the Titans at 120. Of course, they're set. Then 119, Cincinnati. They're set. So, I mean, the way things are looking, it's lining up that Shadeur should be available for the Steelers at 123. Now, whether or not we get him at 123, I mean, I don't know. But the thing about it is, the Steelers are just all teams that are actively in the draft, of course, like they're going to have a better read on how these things are going. So the Steelers may be privy to information that we're not. It may be known in all the real deal team draft circles that Shadeur is not getting drafted in the 4th round. So Pittsburgh may know that we got him until the 6th, to the 5th, or whatever. Like, so they know. So I'm not like if they don't take him and he's still available in round 5, well then guess what? That means it was the right move. Us not taking him in the 3rd and him being available here midway through the 4th shows it was the right move. Because the draft is about value just as much and almost more in some cases, than it is about the player. Just as important as getting the right player is the right value, man. Not taking Shadeur at 83, him looking like he's going to be available at 123 means it was the right call. The right call was made, man. Period. Bengals on the clock. Matter of fact, let me see what the board looks like. Let me see what the draft board looks like. We got Cincinnati, Tennessee, Tampa Bay, Carolina, and then the Steelers at 123. I'm not gonna lie. I mean, I hope it's Shadeur. I do. Because I don't like this for him, man. I definitely think he's talented. I definitely think he was warranted. I think as a player, I think he was warranted to be a first round quarterback, especially in this year's draft, right? So I definitely think so. In the second round, I definitely think there's been four guys drafted ahead of him that I just completely disagree with. I just flat out wasn't that high on Jackson Dart. I saw the things that I believe are appealing to everyone, but I thought he was a third round prospect. I thought he was a third round prospect. He's not near as clean of a prospect as I think it was made out to be. He's not clear cut. And honestly, the more I watched him, he started reminding me of Zach Wilson. Not to say their games are the same, but he put me in the mind of Zach Wilson, and that's the style of prospect he felt like to me. I was all in on Zach Wilson. Zach Wilson was my QB1 that year over Trevor Lawrence. I wasn't that high on Trevor Lawrence. Now, I don't feel bad about that take. Trevor Lawrence ain't lived up to that $55 million a year contract they gave him, right? So I wasn't necessarily wrong about Trevor Lawrence, but I was all in on Zach Wilson. And maybe I've been jaded, or maybe I've been scared straight, or whatever the case. Maybe I have those style of blinders on, but Jackson Dart for me was flashing, warning, 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 Zach Wilson. And not to say that Zach Wilson wasn't talented. He damn sure was. Not to say that he shouldn't have been drafted. Maybe he should have been drafted number 2. But he damn sure should have been drafted. Maybe Zach Wilson should have been drafted in the third round. And so seeing Jackson Dart drafted where he's drafted, in my mind, it set off the Zach Wilson vibes. And I was like, nah, man, I saw a third round guy. Go ahead, come on. I think he's a third round player. It's just my opinion. It's just my opinion. Now, Shadeur, I don't think he's for everybody. And here's the thing. Even going into the process, like, I didn't necessarily like the fit of Shadeur in New York, even when that was a thing. Because playing in the elements, playing in East Rutherford, as windy as that stadium is, playing in Philadelphia, in that division as well. Philadelphia, Washington, New York, right? Outside stadiums in the Northeast, cold, windy, wet. He doesn't have a supremely talented arm as far as arm strength goes. So I didn't necessarily like the matchup or the pairing for those reasons with Shadeur anyway. Like, I thought Tennessee was a good fit, especially with the coaching staff from Tennessee coming from Cincinnati, right? And the work and the things that they did in that office with Joe Burrow, who also doesn't have a monster arm. Especially not coming in, he didn't have a massive arm. So, like, pairing-wise, I always thought that was a better fit. Now, Cam Ward is the better prospect, but that's just what I'm saying. And so there are specific circumstances that I thought made more sense for him. Las Vegas, I thought, could have been a real thing. Now, once they got Geno, then no, they're out of that. And I think it makes sense that they are. I mean, they got Geno. They signed him 3 years, decent money. And Geno's playing damn good ball, man. Shout out to Geno. He ain't right back. Come on, man. Y'all know how I feel about Big Geno. So, yeah, there's certain spots that I do think made sense. Cleveland being one of those spots with Stefanski. I think his skill set and the things he does well aligns with Kevin Stefanski and what he wants to get out of his offense and his scheme. Now, Cleveland does also still play in the AFC North, right? So it's rugged football, man. It's cold, it's windy, it's weather, it's outside. But that, to a smaller degree, could have been a setup kind of like what we're seeing with Brock Purdy in San Francisco, where the team around the quarterback is in a position to potentially be able to compete, right? They've got a pretty stout defense headlined by Myles Garrett. We know what's going on with him, right? And then also that the offense, they're building it. So, like, I liked the thought of that fit. I didn't want him to go to Cleveland because I didn't want to play against him. You know what I mean? Not that I was scared of him. I didn't want us to have to beat up on him. I didn't want to do that to little bro. You know what I mean? I didn't want that for him. And I didn't want him to be in the quarterback purgatory that is Cleveland anyway. You know, it's the elephant graveyard for most quarterbacks. I didn't want that for him anyway. But as far as schematically and fit-wise, man, hell yeah. Cleveland, Tennessee. The Saints now with Kellen Moore coming over from Philly and assuming he wants to maintain the offense that he did in Philly, then that may not be the perfect fit because what made Philadelphia's offense so special? Well, Jalen Hurts is a legitimate threat with the ball in his hands as well. Like he adds to that run game. And so like I can understand when Philly may not be the play or may not have been as high on Shadeur. That makes sense to me. I didn't think it's anything personal. Now is it a better does taking Tyler Shuck at pick 40, is that a better pick than Shadeur? Hell no. Them not getting Shadeur at 9, okay. All right. If you didn't want to force it or force or try to make a square peg into a round hole and that sort of thing, especially with a top 10 premium pick. Okay. Now at pick 40, now it gets back to what we were talking about before, where the player versus the value. Now at pick 40, value tells me, yeah, we got to make, y'all should have made that happen. And instead you go get Tyler Shuck, a 27-year-old rookie who's had 3 season-ending injuries, freak accidents or whatever, broken bones instead of soft tissue, not a recurring hamstring, not a recurring ACL. Yeah, it sounds good. The boy's 27. He's had 3 season-ending injuries. And then in the 1 year of production, that tape's not clean. He does have a cannon now. He's got a cannon for an arm. He is more athletic. He ran a low 4.6. He's not going to run anywhere. He's gunshot. That's why I wasn't as high on him. And I don't even blame him for being gunshot. If I broke 3 bones that cost me 3 seasons and now I'm 26 going into my first NFL season, and he's going to the Saints. Now dig this. He got drafted by the Saints at pick 40. The Saints tight end who had a bit of a breakout this last season, Juwan Johnson. Juwan Johnson played at Oregon with Tyler Shuck as a freshman. Come on, man. That's the guy we're taking at 40 with Shadeur on the board. So, like, that one kind of rubbed me the wrong way. That's the one I don't like. But at the same time, schematically, Shadeur is probably not the fit that they want ideally. So I get it. Like I can make it make sense. That's all I'm saying for some of these teams. But like at the same time, though, at a certain point, the value trumps a lot of that stuff at a certain point in time. And I think Shadeur at 40 to the Saints was one of those times, in my opinion. But that's just that. It's my opinion. Doesn't mean I'm right. It's my opinion. But that's my personal bias. I wasn't as high on Tyler Shuck as a prospect. That's all. All right, here we go. Pittsburgh is on the clock. Pick 123. This is the moment of truth. Moment of truth. What are we going to do, Pittsburgh? Oh, my goodness. Hold on. I got to hear this. Pittsburgh is on the clock. I hope it's Shadeur. I hope it's Shadeur. And I know Will Howard is a guy that we have been kind of circling around. But honestly, the thing about that is, nobody expected Shadeur to be here. But let's see who it is. I don't want to see Will Howard drafted with Shadeur on the clock. I really don't. And I can see the argument for why it would happen. I can, because of the athletic profile. He's a bigger body guy. All right, here's the pick. Come on, Pittsburgh. What we do? Jack Sawyer. Jack Sawyer, the defensive end from Ohio State, 6'4", 260. He's got short arms. I don't know about this one. Because we run a 3-4, right? So he's a traditional base end in my mind. He's a limited athlete. And I don't necessarily think he fits our scheme. Like I don't necessarily imagine Jack Sawyer thriving rushing from a 2-point stance. You know what I mean? Like I don't necessarily see that fit. I won't lie. And even if we were going to go D-line, like I thought Josh Farmer was a guy that I know that the Steelers were rumored to be in on. But now I got to see who's on the board at end if we were going with a pass rusher to play on the edge. Braden Swenson's available from LSU. If we were going to get a defensive end or an edge player, I would prefer Braden Swenson. I think Braden Swenson, he just schematically, just fits better with what we do as a 3-4 team. Now, I mean, we say 3-4, but realistically, we're a 4-2-5 team, right? So, I mean, everybody's at nickel these days. So it is what it is. But, yeah, we run a 4-2-5. And so, you know, I don't know. When I check my board, Braden Swenson's on the board. And for me, I go Braden Swenson above Jack Sawyer just as far as personal preference. But now, I can see like and I hate especially when you describe like white players, there's certain words or terms that always get thrown around, certain descriptives. He's gritty, he's high motor, he tries hard, he's a locker room guy. You know what I mean? Like, and as cliche as it is, all those things are true about Jack Sawyer. All those things are true. It's cliche to say it or whatever, but it doesn't mean it's not true. He is all those things. He is all those things. But I don't necessarily love this pick. I'm not gonna lie. I like the pick. I really like the pick of Derek Harmon. Rest in peace to his mother. Rest in peace prior to his mother. That's a devastating loss, man. On what should be the biggest day of his life or the best day of his life, at least to this point, is also going to be one of the worst days or the saddest days of his life as well. And so that's a terrible dichotomy to struggle with, man, going forward. Or maybe not. You know, maybe I don't. You know, and I don't want to speak too much on it, man. That's his business, and prayers to his family and all. You know, all those things, man. Well wishes. But I don't know how prepared him and his mother may have been for the situation. Because apparently, like she's had health issues throughout the bulk of his life. I think I saw a clip of an interview where by the time he was in high school, she had like several brain surgeries. And I think she ended up having a stroke that paralyzed her left side once he got to college. And so, you know, like it's one of those things where it seems like it wasn't a surprise, so to say. So there's a chance that they may have been able to prep or prepare or have, you know, all those conversations about, you know, how this will work going forward. You know, I don't know, man. But I like the pick. I said it to say I like the pick. I think even like over these last couple months, speculating on who could be available at pick 21, I was thinking Kenny Grant, Derek Harmon, Amarion Hampton, Malachi Starks, and Will Campbell. And then the dark horse at that time was Shadeur Sanders for me. He was a dark horse, just in case, you know what I mean, whatever, boom, boom, he slips or he falls, he may be there. What do we do? Like, this is a question I posed on X or Twitter. And my choice there, my thought, like if I put if I put myself in the headspace of Mike Tomlin and Omar Khan, pick's going to be Derek Nolan. Or excuse me, not Derek Nolan. Pick's going to be Derek Harmon. And that's what we did. So it doesn't surprise me at all. I think it's a perfect scheme fit. Cam Hayward, Stephon Tuitt. You know what I mean? Like Aaron Smith, Brett Kiesel before that. Like, he's the style of guy we want. And we had a huge need at the position as well. Larry Ogunjobi, he finally, you know, left. He's no longer on the team this year. Honestly, I don't know if he ever lived up to that signing we gave him when we brought him in. I don't think he ever lived up to the billing when we brought him in from Cleveland. And then, let alone when we re-signed him, well, we cashed him out. We definitely didn't get no return on investment on that. And now he's gone. He's in Buffalo. He's suspended for the first 6 games anyway for Buffalo. So right there, Derek Harmon is a need. And then deeper than just replacing Larry Ogunjobi and upgrading that position, we also need a guy that could take the mantle of that defensive line group from Cam Hayward. So it's a 2-for-1 with Derek Harmon. That pick made sense all day long. I love it. It's a great pick. Great pick, great fit, good value. I think bottom of the first, top of the second, I think is definitely very good value for Derek Harmon. He was my defensive tackle 3 behind Graham and Grant from Michigan. I had him above Walter Nolan. So I like the pit. I like the value. It teed up. We didn't have a second round pick. With our second round pick, we drafted DK Metcalf. I'm not mad at that. That's a win. And then in the third, we got Caleb Johnson. Now, Caleb Johnson wasn't, I think he was in my like top 8 running backs. But honestly, he wasn't in my top 5. And it's not against him and what he does. Specific to zone running schemes, specific to zone, he'd have probably been 3. Because I think Ashton Genty is plug and play anywhere he goes. Gap, zone, power, counter, duo, whatever you want to do. Inside zone, wide zone, whatever you want to do, I think Ashton Genty is going to get it done. I think he's special that way. The next guy for me would have been Bashal Tootin, Virginia Tech. I think, wide zone's right up his alley as well. He hits the crease in a stretch zone and goes 80 yards in a way that hasn't been seen since Chris Johnson. I don't care what nobody say. I was watching his Virginia Tech film, and on those stretch zone runs, when he gets to hit that crease and hit the sideline for 80, boy, that's CJ2K. I don't care what y'all say. So he would have been my second running back if we're just basing off of just zone scheme. Then would be Caleb Johnson. Caleb Johnson is Arian Foster. In my mind, I told my dog Chop that this morning. Arian Foster, my dog Chop was a big Arian Foster fan. But he's Arian Foster. Similar size, not overly fast. Arian Foster ran like 4.65. Arian Foster ran a mid to high 4.6, but had excellent zone vision. Excellent pace. You know what I mean? Pace, vision, timing, like those things matter just as much or more in that style of scheme. And that's how guys that are limited athletes are able to thrive in the right scheme. Like Arian Foster was just as dynamic of a back in his time. He was just as dangerous or just as productive as a back in his time as Neymar. Arian Foster has 1,500-yard rushing seasons. I believe he has a rushing title. Led the league in rushing. He's not as dynamic as LaShawn McCoy, right? He's not as explosive as Adrian Peterson. He's not as fast as Chris Johnson. And yet and still, in that scheme that caters to what he does well, he could be just as dangerous or just as productive as any of those guys. That's Caleb Johnson. Now, the thing about Caleb Johnson for me, why I was a little lower on him, but for our fit, I absolutely agree with the pick. It's a great pick. And he fits our size profile. I already talked about it. Franco Harris, Jerome Bettis, Le'Veon Bell, James Conner, Najee Harris. All these backs are taller than 6 feet. Well, I think Jerome Bettis is listed 5'11", whatever. All these guys are 6 feet and up. All those guys are roughly 230 pounds. And this is going back to the 70s with Franco. 6 foot, 6'1", maybe 6'2", 230. Jerome Bettis, 5'11", 250. Le'Veon Bell, 6'1", almost 6'2", 235. I think 245 coming in. Then he slimmed down. He trimmed up to like 225. He was 245 in Michigan State. James Conner, another back. Right, what, 6 foot, 220, 225? Stout. Najee, 6'1", 245. And now Caleb Johnson, 6'1", 225. So history repeats itself, man. We've got a blueprint for the guys that we like. So Caleb Johnson was going to be a steal. If he was there at 83, he was a stealer, regardless of who was around. Right? So I like that pick. It fits us. Now, honestly, for me personally, I wish he had a little more aggressiveness given his size. But I could have said the same thing about Le'Veon. He's a 6'1", 225-pound back, 230-pound back, and I'm talking about Caleb Johnson here, but he is definitely more finesse than rugged power. But he also does show the ability to get behind his pads. He has a nice stiff arm. But now, is he necessarily a guy that's going to bang heads in the A-gap on an ISO on 4th and 2? Maybe not. He's got the size for it, but it's not necessarily like his game. He's not a hammer. You know what I mean? And so that, some of those things, just preference wise, are why I was a little lower on him just in my personal rankings. But it doesn't change the fact that he's a fantastic player. Here's another guy, Kyle Kennard, edge from South Carolina. He went to the Chargers. I also had Kyle Kennard ahead of Jack Sawyer. So Braden Swinson and Kyle Kennard for me are both, I had higher graded prospects as edge players over Jack Sawyer. 6'4", 248. I believe he ran like a high 4.6, if I remember right. So I like him as a player. Had 11 and a half sacks this past year for South Carolina. My dog Tom, the guy in this thing, man, said he ain't no time walking though. Hey, he damn sure ain't. You already know, bruh. You already know. He damn sure ain't. Hey, bruh. Hey, now Tom, man. I'm not gonna lie. I like Jaden Higgins. I think Jaden Higgins, for me, like when I watched Ted McMillan, I was so underwhelmed, dog. I had to force Ted McMillan in my top 5 receiver rankings, dog. I ain't gonna hold you. I had to like force feed him in there because I know he's going high. But he didn't do it for me. I watched Jaden Higgins, and I was like, but outside of like the crazy catch radius, the jump ball, outside of the jump ball, Jaden Higgins is the guy I thought Ted McMillan was going to be. I like Jaden Higgins. I think on my final ranking, I think I went ahead and had to drop, you know what I'm saying, Lemon Nuts Hang, man. I went in and put Jaden Higgins above Ted McMillan, man. I think I had to put them like 4 and 5 or 5 and 6, but cause I just wasn't too high on Ted McMillan myself. I really enjoyed Jaden Higgins' film though, so he's a stud. I like him. Jalen Noel, the other receiver from Iowa State that y'all drafted, I liked him. He was cool. I didn't like him as much. I like Higgins better, but he was a solid guy as well. He was in my top 10. He was definitely in my top 10, but I wasn't as high on him as some people. Like after the combine, people were saying that he might be a top 5 receiver or threaten the top 5 or be a guy that goes in the top of the second. And so I didn't see him that high, like top of the second. But I definitely thought Jalen Noel was like top 75. Like I think third round was a good spot. What do you say? My dog Ty said, yeah, he liked to pick too. Shit, I bet you do. Boy, y'all need anything. Y'all need what y'all can get. For sure. Man, I've been sitting here rambling, dog, talking about the Shadeur situation. My dog Tom said No's a shifty slot. And see, that's the thing, right? Because, like, I didn't necessarily think he was, like, I thought he was more vertical than, like, shifty. Like, Tank Dell is shifty. Like, give it to him in space, and he can make 2 people miss in a phone booth. Like, I didn't necessarily think that was Jalen Noel's game. I thought he was more like a vertical slot. Like, remember Christian Kirk? When Christian Kirk was coming out of Texas A&M, and when Christian Kirk first got in the league, like how he was a slot, but he was more like he's a vertical slot though. Like slot fades. I'll tell you another, like Doug Baldwin almost. Now he's not Doug Baldwin, but Doug Baldwin also was like a vertical slot in my mind. You know what I mean? Like that type of thing. I think he's more vertical than he is just like raw shifty. Or at least that's what I thought. But no, I like him though. I do. And I like the thought of, so Nico Collins and Jaden Higgins got a lot of similarities, in my opinion. I think there are parts of Jaden Higgins' game that remind me of Nico Collins. He's a big body guy. Jaden Higgins is shifty. I think Jaden Higgins has damn good movement and agility, especially at his size. He's like 6'4", 219. And Nico Collins is that way. He moves very well in space. You know what I mean? So, like, the thing that makes Nico Collins so dangerous is, like, I mean, yeah, he can get vertical and he can go up and get it, but that's not really his game necessarily. Not like a George Pickens per se. But what makes him super dangerous is, like, in that intermediate game. You get Nico Collins the ball on a deep dig, 20, 25, 30 yards down the field, he can make 3 dudes miss. and then he turns that 30-yard dig into a 65-yard touchdown. Like I think Jaden Higgins' game is kind of has similarities in that way. And then add in Jalen Noel to be like a guy that can maybe help to kind of stretch the field because he does have good speed. He does have good speed for sure. And also with his speed, like I didn't think he necessarily had great acceleration, but he's got good top end speed. Like I felt like Jalen Noel, and that's why I thought he's like more of a vertical slot because I think he's faster. To me, he felt faster from 20 to 40 than he was from 0 to 20. Like you know what I mean? And so that's another reason I say like because he is a smaller, he's 5'10", you know what I mean? Like 190 pounds, I want to say he ran like a low, was it a high 4.2 or a low 4.3? Somewhere in there. So he's got damn good speed. But I think his speed he really opens up and hits 60 like on the back half of that 40 instead of the front half of it, in my opinion. But yeah, I like what y'all did, man. Getting Higgins, Ursery, and Jalen Noel, that's a damn good haul. That's a damn good haul. I think Ursery has a chance to be a stud, man. We kind of talked about him. Yeah, I think Ursery has a chance to be a stud. But no, man, I was gonna ask you, man, what you got any thoughts on Shadeur? What's going on with Shadeur Sanders, bro? You got any thoughts there? Let me know. I was sitting here rambling about it for probably about 30 minutes when I first got on the show. But I'm curious to know, man. Let me see. Jalen Lane, receiver, just got drafted by the Commanders from Virginia Tech. I'll tell you who I liked a lot more than Jalen Noel, but it's also like he's probably gonna play in the slot, but I think he could give you some Z. I think he can give you a little inside outside, but he'll probably play in the slot. But Kyle Williams from Washington State, hey man, I can't believe he fell to the third round and to the Patriots. Patriots have drafted the last two drafts. I've loved the guys they've drafted. Kyle Williams from Washington State was my wide receiver 3. I had Travis Hunter, Luther Burden, Kyle Williams, number 3. Ahead of Matthew Golden. I had Matthew Golden 4. Kyle Williams is going to be a problem. But yeah, him falling to round 3, man. Or maybe not even falling. I think he was projected more so to go like day 2 for sure. But if somebody would have took him in the second round, man, look, no complaints from me. Would have been no complaints from me at all. He could have went early second. For me, honestly, he could have went the bottom of the first to the right team. I ain't gonna hold you, bro. Yeah, I liked him a lot. Ravens take linebacker Teddy Buchanan from Cal. I ain't even watch his film. I ain't even watch that guy. I ain't got nothing to say. I ain't watch that guy. I ain't got nothing to say. Let me check and see when the Steelers pick next, man. When do my Steelers pick next? Okay. Looks like, I want to say 150 something. 156. I don't know, man. And you know what? I was in the group chat with Chop saying that, yeah, I wonder if Shadeur has like pulled from the draft like unofficially in the way that we saw Lael Collins do when he was coming out of LSU. I don't necessarily like that year. Like he was a top 40 player. I don't necessarily think he was a top 10 lock like people were saying. I didn't think so. I don't know if it was that high, like especially calling like a top 10 lock. Definitely think he was top 40 for sure. But anyway, like the day of the draft, it was like literally a couple hours before the draft, it came out that like he was wanting to be questioned in a murder case, like literally, like 2 hours before the draft. Like his ex-girlfriend, he got murdered, like back home, and they had him as a person of interest because he used to date her. Like that was crazy. They cost that man $20 million. But that's what he did. Once he didn't go in the first round or the second round, he pulled out. He let everybody like, hey, look, if you draft me, I'm not showing up. Like I'm not doing it. So I wonder if Shadeur and Coach Prime, like maybe if they've had those style of conversations, I would wonder. And then they'll just go the free agent route and try to negotiate or find a time, like, have a meeting of the minds with a team that they choose is the best situation for them. I wonder if maybe that's what's going on. And I know my dog Chop said that he had a similar thought as well. But that's what I'm wondering. That's what I wonder. That's what I wonder. Man, fifth round, dog. Or yeah, he's likely gonna get to the fifth round because, like I said, like who else needs a quarterback? Who else needs a quarterback but us? They didn't already draft one. So I don't know, man. Malachi Moore going to the Jets, okay. Let me see. Saints are on the clock. Man, I'll tell you, this is crazy, man. Let's see what the big boy look like. Man. And you know another thing, too? What's going on with Jalen Royals? Jalen Royals hasn't been drafted yet as well. What's going on with Jalen Royals, man, receiver from Utah State? I know he was a guy that, a lot of people liked, especially as kind of an under-the-radar kind of guy. There was thoughts that he may, would probably go day two, for sure, day two. I wasn't quite as high, like round three for me. Like I would have had him behind Jalen Noel, but I would have thought, both those guys could go round three. Oh, my dog chopping this thing, man. What's going on, bruh? Man, yeah, man, you already know what I'm doing, man. Just sitting there watching this. Shadeur watches in full effect. Shadeur watches in full effect. Like I said, I was sitting here watching it, and I was like, man, ain't no reason I shouldn't turn the camera on. I'm just going to sit here and watch the picks anyway. Might as well get in here and chop it up a little bit. I had a whole, man, I started the show with a whole monologue, giving some thoughts on Shadeur, man, and what's been going on for sure. My dog Chop said he liked Royals. Yeah, no, he was solid. Yeah, he was solid, bro. Like, I'm surprised he's still here as well. Like, I would have thought, I thought he was going like round three. But yeah, he's still here as well. Alec Ayaminer from Stanford. He was a guy that got people thought would go day two. I wasn't as high on him necessarily, but he's still out there. Hey, Chad said he ain't getting drafted. Hey, bro, he might not, bro. That's what I was talking about as well, man. Like whether they kind of unofficially pulled out or just if it just ain't gonna happen, bro. But man, like dog, man, that's crazy, man. To think that he just ain't gonna get drafted, bro. Man, that's crazy, dog. That's crazy, man. I mean, but honestly, at this point, bro, it's just as likely not to happen as happen. You know what I mean? So it's just as likely that it doesn't happen, bro. Because regardless if you thought he was going in the first round or not, because some people just didn't grade him as a first round quarterback. So regardless of whether or not you thought he was a first round quarterback, there's no way you imagine we'd be near the bottom of the fourth and he wouldn't have been drafted. Like nobody could have envisioned this. Nobody could have envisioned this, bro. But that's the thing about it too is like when I'm looking at it, because I'm like, well, who needs a quarterback? I don't think anybody else has a hole at the quarterback position but Pittsburgh. Like I think we the only quarterback needy team left that didn't do anything to address it. Everybody else picked the guy, regardless of how good their guy is. Dylan Gabriel, whatever, Tyler Shuck. Like regardless of what we think about these guys, those teams did already take somebody. So I think we the only team that hasn't took nobody. And if that's the case, and we bid against ourselves, then we don't have to be in a rush to take them if we want them. You know what I'm saying? If we want them. Man, dog. Man, yeah, this is it's crazy, dog. It's crazy. One of the things that I was talking about, Chop, is that honestly, bro, like I really think they overplayed their leverage. I think that's what it comes down to, bro. I think Coach Prime and Shadeur in the meetings, if you believe some of the rumors that have been coming out about like some of his meetings with the team, I think they misplayed their hand, bro. They misplayed their own leverage. Like they didn't have as much leverage as they thought they did. Like they didn't have the leverage or the cachet or the power to make a power move in the way that like John Elway did or Eli Manning did. Like they didn't have that same cachet. He wasn't considered that highly. He wasn't considered as highly as they may have thought. And yeah, man, I think they misplayed their leverage, bro. I think the Senior Bowl, well, not even the Senior Bowl. I think the Combine, because like when I was watching the Combine, Jackson Dart probably put himself in the first round in that Combine. You know what I mean? But I think watching that Combine and how poorly most of the quarterbacks performed, in my mind, I was like, man, this could have been an opportunity, dog. I think I said something about it back then, man. I posted about it like, bro, Shadeur really missed an opportunity. Not go ahead and show up at this Combine, bro, where he could have easily, I think, differentiated himself, like separated himself from a lot of these guys. Because like accuracy and ball placement, things that I think he does really well, all those guys struggle with. At least they did in that setting. My dad said he doesn't truly know how this is going to turn out. He's fell far enough to feel slighted by every team in the NFL. Oh, yeah, no, for sure. Whoever does draft him or does try to pick him up, it will feel like pity. Well, and see, that's the thing about it is like, I don't think I wouldn't say pity because like you can have pity for Mr. Irrelevant, Brock Purdy. You know what I mean? Or I mean, but even him, like, you know what I mean? Like, I don't necessarily think pity is the right word. Because nobody's gonna take him just because, we'll take him. Like, if you draft him, you want him. I think if you draft him, you want him. I don't think anybody just is gonna just look around like, man, Shadeur's still there, ain't nobody else did it, I'll do it. Like, I don't think it'll be something like that. But I think the bigger thing is, man, like, and that's what I've been saying all morning. The draft is just as much about value as it is about getting the right player. Like, you know what I mean? So, like, it's not a benefit to draft a player in the third round if you could draft that same player in the sixth round. Like, that's not how the draft is meant to work. You want to get the best player for whatever it is that you want, but you want to get it at the best value. Like, that's what makes the teams that do the draft well, that's what sets them apart. It's not only getting the right player, but getting that right player at the right value. Hold on, who just got picked? Oh, Noah Williams. Okay. He didn't need to showcase the film, the comedy showcase. I think he has film. He also had a pro day. Well, see, no, that's the thing, Chop, bro. That film wasn't clean, bro. Like, that film was ugly, man. Like, I was surprised. Like, when I actually went back, because I remember watching these games live. Because of course it was must see TV every week, man. So I watched those games live. When I went back and watched the film, just to analyze the film, bro, the film's rough. But it's rough, but it's not necessarily his fault. But like, bruh, it's hard to watch. He's running for his life. Like he didn't necessarily get the like the film alone itself, honestly, wasn't wowing. It wasn't top 10 film, bro. Flat out. It wasn't top 10 film. It just wasn't. There's a lot of ugly ball on that film. Like a lot of that stuff, not just around him, but that offensive line. He does have bad pocket habits, but I think those bad pocket habits developed because the offensive line is so terrible. Like you only get 5 offensive linemen on every snap. 3 of those guys take instant losses at every snap, it feels like. Every snap, 3 of his linemen lose at the snap. Ooh, Jalen Royals goes to the Chiefs, Chop. That's a good pick. This is a good pick. I like the value, especially for the value. Bottom of the 4th round. Jalen Royals going to the Chiefs. Okay. Okay. But yeah, no, man. So that film wasn't that. The film wasn't what I expected it to be or what I thought it was going to be. But like I said, like if you add the appropriate context to it, it does help you see it in a better light. And then also like no running game at all. So every defensive line is in a track meet. Every defensive line knows if you're playing Carolina, it's a track meet. You know what I mean? So everybody's ears are pinned back. So there were things outside of his control that just didn't. And also that scheme. Bro, that scheme is ass. Or excuse me, that scheme is trash, bro. Pat Shurmur, I understand watching Colorado's scheme when you watch it on film, bro, it makes sense now. Now I see, like, is this the offense he was trying to run in the league? Like, maybe 15 years ago, 2010, 2008, that Pat Shurmur offense would probably be received a lot better. But right now, bro, that offense is not it. Jackson Dart playing for Lane Kiffin got him in the 1st round. Cam Ward playing in Miami. You know what I mean? Like, bro, that offense was hindered him. And that's the thing about it as well. So, like, when I add that context, because I'm thinking, like, man, what does Shadeur's numbers, like, what does Shadeur's film look like if he's playing in Ole Miss? And yeah, it's gimmicky. There's a lot of gimme plays and things are schemed open. Like, you know what I mean? But, like, what's he look like in that offense? Like, what's Shadeur look like if he was in place of Quinn Ewers in Texas? They probably national champions. If Shadeur was in Texas in place of Quinn Ewers, they're probably national champions. And Isaiah Bond, well, Golden went in the 1st round. Isaiah Bond probably still goes in the 1st round because Shadeur's going to be able to get him the ball. You know what I mean? So I definitely think in the right circumstance, he would have showed a lot better. But that Colorado film is rough, dog. He's running for his life. And it also, he is a limited athlete. And so not only is he being forced to try to run and evade a lot, he's not getting away from a lot of people. You know what I mean? And he's got a bad habit of just drifting back further and further because he's just buying time because he doesn't have time to just stand up and post in the pocket and really deliver. Because he's a point guard. You know what I mean? Like, I really think, like, he's a point guard. And he's not a Russell Westbrook style point guard. You know what I mean? He's John Stockton. He's Jason Kidd. He's a traditional point guard. You know what I mean? He said, we passed down. We're talking about just Jackson Dart and Cam Ward, talking about Jalen Milroe, Tyler Shuck, and Dylan Gabriel. No, for sure. Now, I don't necessarily disagree there, but well, now another thing as well, like Jalen Milroe, I think is his own category because I don't think anybody has more. Like, let's say if Cam Ward reaches his ceiling, how good is he? You know what I mean? Like, where does his game fall if he reaches his absolute peak powers in the league? And most people don't reach the absolute peak powers. But if Cam Ward does, like, what style of player would he be? Like, you know what I mean? Like, honestly, I'll tell you who Cam Ward reminded me of, and it may sound weird, or it may not make sense to a lot of people without context. There's some Ben Roethlisberger in this game because he's very strong in the pocket. He does buy time. He is able to make two guys miss a sack and then throw a 40-yard pass by the time the guys get open. There's also, like, in the way he throws the ball, his arm is strong enough to just throw without having to have his feet planted on the ground. That reminded me of Aaron Rodgers in that way, like the way he can, like, just with his talent and the way he can throw at angles. So, like, but I don't think he's gonna be one of those guys. But like saying, like, how high does he get? Like Jalen Milroe in the right scheme, can he be Lamar Jackson? I think he's faster. I think just straight line speed, I think he's faster than Lamar Jackson. And arm for arm, I think his arm is stronger. I think Jalen Milroe probably had the strongest arm in his draft. I think Cam Ward has a strong arm. I think Cam Ward had a damn strong arm. Tyler Shuck had a strong ass arm too. I think if we're just talking just pure power, I think Jalen Milroe probably had the strongest arm in his draft. Him, Tyler Shuck. I think him or Tyler Shuck. Cam Ward is worth mentioning as well. But you know what I'm saying? Like, so he's like the highest ceiling. But he's also the lowest floor for sure. Dylan Gabriel, now you got me there. And that was Cleveland as well. But here's the thing about Cleveland. So Cleveland traded their number 2 pick to Jacksonville to get a first round pick next year. I think Cleveland, because I think also Cleveland is officially fully able to completely cut ties with Deshaun Watson's contract next year. And then also the quarterback class for next year is just so much better than this year's class. And so this year, they're not going anywhere. You know what I mean? And so I think they're making a long play. So yeah, if you bring Shadeur in, and Dylan Gabriel got drafted in the 3rd round, and yeah, that could have been Shadeur. It could have been. But no, I don't think. I think Cleveland is positioning themselves. But Cleveland is positioning themselves. They're going to have 2 first-round picks next year. Their own pick's probably going to be high. Jacksonville's pick, we'll see how Jacksonville turns out. They added, Mason Graham. But who expects Jacksonville to be a 12-win team next year? So let's say Jacksonville's pick. Like, Cleveland is positioning themselves to have, like, 2 top 15 picks in the draft next year. Their own and the one for Jacksonville. And so with a lot of teams, like, who's going to be in the quarterback market next year if you're kind of forecasting it? So I think Cleveland is positioning themselves to make a move for a top 5 quarterback, or for a top 5 pick and a top premium quarterback in next year's draft. Because next year's draft, it might have Archie Manning in it. Now, I don't know if he's going to come out or not, but it may have it in there. And if he's available, Cleveland wants to put themselves in position to maybe make a move to get him. The Nussmeier kid from LSU. I mean, there's a big class next year. Next year's class is going to be similar to the class 2 years ago, where there's going to be like, or at least at this time, it's always premature, but there may be 5 or 6 guys that have a chance to go in the first round next year when it's all said and done. Who's that? Noah Mills said he's about to go undrafted. Noah Mills, man, what's going on, big dog? Where you from, man? And who's your team? I don't think I seen your name in here before. But my dog Chop said the same thing, man. My dog Chop said the same thing. He ain't getting drafted. And he very well may not. And that's one of the things we talked about was, like, I wonder if at this time, like, if him and his team, like, they, like, unofficially withdrew from, like, the draft. Like, and I say that because we saw it happen before with Lael Collins. Lael Collins was the offensive tackle from LSU, like, probably like 8 years ago now. He was projected to be like a top 4. I think he was going to be top 40. That year, I had him like in the top 40. But he was like a first-round tackle for most people, right? And then he got called in for police wanted to talk to him about a murder of his ex-girlfriend, etc. And that happened like 2 hours before the draft. And so he fell out the first 2 rounds, and then him and his team put out a statement and told everybody, "Don't pick me. I ain't coming. If you draft me, I'm not showing up." And so like they actively made the decision to kind of withdraw from the draft, and then in free agency, he signed the highest free agent contract like on record with the Cowboys. And so I wonder if Shadeur and his team, like if they take that route, like if behind the scenes they've taken that route. And I think that may be something to consider, honestly. That may be something to consider. Because the other part about it is just like y'all saying, or he just might not get picked anyway. So either way. Noah said he's from North Carolina, but he's a Bills guy. Okay, no love for the Panthers. Okay, I feel it. I don't blame you though, bro. I fool with Big Josh, man. Josh Allen probably my favorite quarterback in the league. Josh Allen been my favorite quarterback in the league now for probably like the last 4 years. So I feel you there. I like Big Josh. But no, bro, I appreciate you tapping in, bro. Hit that like button for me, man. You one of them members now, dog. You one of them members, bro. Let me see what the board look like. Matter of fact, I'll tell you what. How do you feel about the Bills draft? I'll tell you what. Maxwell Hairston, y'all first round pick, the corner. Maxwell Hairston, dog, was probably one of my favorite players in the whole draft. Like every year, you know what I'm saying? Everybody's got like they my guys. Maxwell Hairston was one of my guys, man. Maxwell Hairston for me, like he was definitely in the first round. If Miami would have took him at 13, hey, I wouldn't have blamed him. I think he's a stud. So I really like Maxwell Hairston. He's one of my favorites. He said he liked the Panthers, but it's hard to watch these last few seasons. Hey, I feel that, bro. Hey, I feel that. Especially the first half of last season, boy, with Bryce was out there, man, ruining his own career. But kudos to him and that coaching staff, bro. Like the rebirth of Bryce Young mid-season last year. Like, hey, that says a lot about Bryce Young for one, and it says a lot about Dave Canales. Like being able to salvage Bryce Young the way they did, because I was sure he was toast. I was sure he was donezo. You know what I mean? And so, let me see what y'all got. Y'all got Maxwell Hairston, stud. Maxwell Hairston was a first round player for me. He was a top 30 player. Yeah, he said he feels good about the Maxwell pick as well. Yes, sir. I think 4.28. I think he was the fastest 40. I think he ran 4.28. And I think Matthew Golden ran 4.29. But yeah, I'll tell you, I really like Maxwell Hairston for sure. Now, he's a stud. I think he's going to be a stud. TJ Sanders, the defensive lineman y'all got from South Carolina, I think he's nice as well. He's a little bit undersized, but he's a penetrator, a pass rusher. Y'all been trying to get Buffalo been trying to get some pass rush for this last decade because Buffalo keeps making signings. They keep drafting guys to that defensive line, but they still haven't found a real difference maker. Like they brought over Von Miller, remember a few years ago, but they just let him go. But they had brought him over thinking like he maybe still has some in the tank from what he had showed with the Rams. But I think that might have been the last of his juice. And then Greg Rousseau, he's been a pretty solid player for y'all. He's been pretty good. I wasn't too high on him coming in from Miami. My dog Chop in the chat, he was a Rousseau guy, but he's developed and actually shown pretty well. But it still doesn't feel like he's not like a tier 1 difference maker. Like y'all still need a guy. Ed Oliver is still hasn't necessarily reached the heights that maybe we thought he could, right? So they still need juice. So maybe TJ Sanders gets it done. Landon Jackson, the defensive end y'all got from Arkansas, I like him. And he went in the 3rd round. I thought he was a guy that's going to go in the 2nd round. So I definitely like him at the value you got. I mean, I had him as like a top 75 player. So top of the 3rd round where y'all got him is not bad value. It's not crazy. But I thought there was a chance that he may even sneak into the 2nd round. But I like him as well. Deion Walker for y'all. That's an interesting one, man. From, was it Duke? Where's Deion Walker from? No, Kentucky. Deion Walker from Kentucky. He's like 6'6", 350 pounds. But he's one of those guys where he's a huge athlete. He also had a lot of injury stuff going on with him in Kentucky. There was a time in which Deion Walker was thought that he made, like, to start this year, he was a guy that was projected to maybe go in the first round like a Jordan Davis did. Like, he was thought of that highly to start the season, but then I think that he had like a lot of injuries, or it didn't work out for him. And then y'all get him in the fourth. So he's a guy with tons of upside, though. So if he puts it together, it might be a gem. Yeah, definitely, for sure. Man, I'll tell you another thing too, man. With Xavier Legette, man. What happened with I like Xavier Legette. Like, he was raw for sure, right? He's definitely raw. But I did like him as a prospect. I think last year, like, I had him in the top. I had him as a top 40 player. And so I think y'all got him y'all traded into the bottom of the first, or the Panthers traded into the bottom of the first to get him, I believe. So I didn't hate it. But I hate how his season played out, man. He had those drops. He had some big drops toward the end of the year that ended up costing the Panthers a few games. Like, he dropped a couple game-winning touchdowns. The Panthers were in position to beat the Chiefs. They lost that game, arguably because of a drop touchdown from Xavier Legette. And I think it was back-to-back weeks, the Panthers were in position to beat the Eagles. And I think Xavier Legette had a big drop in that one. That was going to be like a 30-yard conversion for like a first down, or I don't know. But he had like several critical drops in huge moments that cost the Panthers real games last year, man. And then Jalen Coker, the guy y'all got that was either undrafted or maybe in the like day 3, like 6 or 7 round pick. He's nice. Like, he ended up being the guy. Like, he's the guy that, that kind of showed up for y'all, or for the Panthers as a rookie. But Xavier Legette, man, he was always raw. I loved he had true difference-making speed, explosiveness, just athletically a specimen. He had he had great ball tracking. And, like, he can go get it. Like, bro, I really like Xavier Legette. He's got to put it together. He put me in the mind of a young, extremely raw, coming into the league out of Tennessee, Chattanooga, Terrell Owens. That type of build, that lean, chiseled, rocked up build, just a fantastic athlete, damn near 40-inch vertical, 215 pounds, 218 pounds of just shredded muscle, runs 4.4 nothing, like, and like raw, like, you know what I mean? So, like, it made me think of like T.O. when T.O. would have been coming into the league back in the day. I imagine like T.O. may have been comparable to Xavier Legette coming in. Just, that's the comparison I made in my own mind. But I told but that's the thing. I was like, man, if he develops with that size, that athletic ability, his ability to run with the ball in his hands the way he does, that made T.O. so special. Like, bro, I was like, hey, man, this is a lottery ticket that could be T.O. 2.0, man. So I'm cheering for Xavier Legette. I'm cheering for Xavier Legette, man. No, it said we got no rush last season, man. And we rushed for 4. Exactly. Like, in that scheme with Sean McDermott, like, he wants to rush 4 and play zone coverage behind it primarily. You know what I mean? And just like you said, man, like, when y'all really need it, when y'all really got to get home against Patrick Mahomes, when you really got to get home against just whoever, Lamar Jackson. You know what I'm saying? Like, that front 4, man, there hasn't been anybody that can really step up in those moments and kind of like take over the game as a rusher. And so, yeah, y'all definitely still trying to find that piece. The guys that they got this year, Landon Jackson, TJ Sanders, like, those are good prospects. I don't necessarily see either of those guys as like tier 1 difference makers, right? But they are very solid additions, though. And so you can only draft who's available. So I don't hate any of those picks at all, though. Like, I don't hate any of those picks. Those are good picks, for sure. And you never know. Like I said, maybe Landon Jackson surprises us. You know what I'm saying? And he turns it to more than maybe what he looks like now. He looks like a capable number 2 rusher, but maybe he proves us all wrong. Man, yeah, and Matt Milano getting injured definitely was critical to that defense, and in like 2 years in a row. because he got hurt at like the end of the season, toward the end of the season 2 years ago, and then he came back this season, and I think he missed some time this season as well. I don't think he didn't finish this season as well, and so yeah, he's definitely been a critical missing piece of that defense as well. Because the whole thing about Matt Milano is like when he was drafted, or he was meant to be the Robin to Tremaine Edwards, the linebacker y'all had drafted out of Virginia Tech, I want to say, in the first round. He was only 19 or 20 when he got drafted. My Steelers drafted his brother, Terrell Edmonds, but he was the guy y'all meant to build that defense around as far as at the linebacker position. But Matt Milano played better, outplayed him. Matt Milano just outplayed him. And so when Tremaine Edmonds finally put it together in his contract year, y'all went ahead and let him walk, let him go to Chicago, and y'all turned the reins over to Matt Milano, and then unfortunately he's been hurt. Noah said the injuries at receiving are tough. Yeah, exactly, man. Yeah. Yeah, and like I said, I cheer for Big Josh. Big Josh has been my favorite quarterback in the league, man. So, like, if it's not the Steelers, then I cheer for Big Josh. I want Big Josh to do well, and so I definitely, I cheer for y'all in those games against the Chiefs, and honestly, like the games do be there for the taking for the most part. This last one had a bit of controversy. On my show at the time when we talked about it, I wonder if I still get that clip. I don't know if I still got it queued up, but like the quarterback sneak with the terrible spot that ended up giving the ball back to Kansas City. I mean, there was a couple questionable calls or questionable circumstances in that playoff game against the Chiefs, for sure. But at the end of the day, man, guys didn't make plays. Dalton Kincaid dropped a 40-yard pass that puts the Bills in field goal range, and they should theoretically finish that drive with a score and probably win that game. And Dalton Kincaid pissed the bed, man, flat out. Dalton Kincaid pissed the bed. Either Dalton Kincaid or Dawson Knox, one of the tight ends. When Josh got a blitz, I think it was a front side blitz from Trent McDuffie on the short side of the field, and it's like they weren't ready for it, so he's hot. And somehow Big Josh is able to let go this 40-yard dime, and either Dalton Kincaid or Dawson Knox, one of them dropped it. And that put the ball right back in Kansas City hands, man. Put the ball right back in Kansas City hands. Said Abdul Carter has the potential to be something big. Yeah, and you know what? Here's the thing about Abdul Carter. I definitely like him. I think this draft, for me, only had 3 blue chip players. In my opinion, only had 3 true blue chip players. Travis Hunter, Ashton Genty, and Abdul Carter. Like Mason Graham is a great player in this draft. I don't think he's a blue chip player. Because I don't think he's a true just difference maker on his own as a defensive tackle. Like I don't think he was as dominant as Quinnen Williams and Ndamukong Suh, Aaron Donald. Like, guys like this that can actually just take over the game as a 3-tech. I don't think that's the type of player he is. I compare them to like a more athletic Kyle Williams. You know what I mean? Very solid guy, a guy that's going to push the pocket. He's got short arms, and I think it shows up in his pass rush because he's a pocket pusher, and he's got damn good burst for his guy. He's 6'4", 296 pounds. He's a little lighter than I thought he was as well. I think they said he was listed at 320. But he's a good athlete, good effort, good motor, powerful, explosive out of his stance. He does have strong hands when he jars, but he's got short arms. I don't think he necessarily disengages as well in his early rush. And he just doesn't have a lot of in his bag as a rusher. But he's a damn good run defender. And like I said, a guy that's going to get more pressures than sacks. So I didn't consider him a blue chip guy. But no, Abdul Carter was. I don't know if Abdul Carter's ceiling is quite as high as we're saying. Like I don't necessarily think he's Micah Parsons. And I get why people say it. Both at Penn State, both freak athletes, both wore number 11, both were linebackers that converted to defensive end. But I still don't think he's necessarily Micah. I think Micah Parsons still just is a more powerful player. But no, I think he definitely could be a stud, man. I definitely think he'd be a stud. When I watched the pass rush film, like when I broke down the pass rushers, like he was the top guy, but I didn't necessarily think it was head and shoulders above everybody, all some other guys. Like, I don't think he was like, I think the difference between like Abdul Carter and Mike Green as a pass rusher, or Abdul Carter and James Pierce out of Tennessee. James Pierce for me was my second edge. He was edge 2 for me. I had him above Mike Green. I had Mike Green 3. But like, as just pure pass rushers, like, I don't think he was like two steps ahead of those guys. Like, he's the best prospect out of those guys, but I don't necessarily think he was like on his own planet away from those two guys. Like, if that makes sense. Like, Ashton Genty for me, it was on his own planet as far as the running backs. Like, I thought I was gonna like Amarion Hampton more than I did, but nah, he's not in the same planet as Ashton Genty. Travion Henderson, I thought I was going to like him a lot more than I did. Not in the same planet as Ashton Genty. Like, Ashton Genty set himself apart. And I think Travis Hunter, as a total prospect, he also set himself apart. I think as a receiver, specifically as a receiver, honestly. And then even as a corner, I still think he's the top corner in this draft as well. And I think his corner play still has a lot more room to grow because he does it like a side job. His heart's not in corner. His heart's in receiver. But if he had the love for corner like he does for receiver, then I have no question he'd be a dominant, truly dominant special corner. I don't think that's what he is. I don't think that's not where his heart is. He said Abdul Carter is 100% the best player in the draft, and the Giants defense is looking scary. I don't know, man. I don't know. I think, well, on my board, he was number 2. I had Travis Hunter number 1. He just offers so much. What he could give you on both sides of the ball. Even if he moonlights on one side and plays full-time on one. Like in Jacksonville, I think he will get a chance to play both. I think he's going to be their wide receiver too. I love that fit for him in Jacksonville as well. Travis Hunter's going to be the wide receiver too to Brian Thomas Jr. Brian Thomas Jr. having that excellent vertical speed, that deep vertical threat, and then Travis Hunter thriving in the intermediate. You know what I mean? Travis Hunter's going to kill you from 12 to 20 yards. You know what I mean? Like, that's where he's going to go crazy. So I think that's a perfect fit. And then on defense as well, they need help in that secondary. That secondary is terrible. Tyson Campbell's their best corner, but he's been up and down. They went and brought in Jordan Lewis from the Cowboys to start as their nickel, so he should lock that up because Jordan Lewis is a damn good nickel. But there's still room at that other corner spot, and I think if they ask him to do it, he would be corner 2 for sure, without question, over Jerrion Jones from Florida State, who's solid. He's not keeping Travis Hunter off the field. Like, Abdul Carter, he's a crazy athlete, and he does have like some natural ability, but there's still a lot of room to grow. He definitely needs to get stronger. He could especially at the point of attack, but he's an undersized guy. I think he got up to like 250 at the combine, but I don't think he played at 250. He didn't look like he played at 250. When I watched him at Penn State, I thought he was 235. He looks lean, but also he was converting from linebacker. But he looks lean. And there's some moments in that film, man, at Penn State, especially like if he doesn't beat you with his initial quickness or burst at the snap, and the plays coming to him, so he's the point of attack defender. Well, he can get muscled around a little bit, man. He can get muscled around a little bit. But that's like these are things that'll improve as he's settling into the position, especially as he continues to get stronger. He's probably put on a good at least 10 pounds since the season. There ain't no way in hell. I don't think he played at 250 at Penn State, or he didn't look it. It was a damn light 250 if he was really playing at 250. But I'm with you though, man. I definitely think upside. Oh my God, yeah, upside is bananas. And yeah, they got Brian Burns. They still got Kayvon Thibodeau. And so people were thinking that Kayvon Thibodeau was going to get traded this weekend. But I saw a report that said that New York intends to pick up Kayvon Thibodeau's 5th-year option. So they intend to keep all 3 of those guys. And so I wonder if they're going to try to do some style of – I wonder how creative they're going to get with that defense. if Kayvon Thibodeau is still in that team's long-term plans. Because the first year, picking up his fifth-year option, as a top 5 draft pick, you're going to pay Kayvon Thibodeau some good money next year. Good enough money that he needs to be on the field if you pick up that fifth-year option like the reports are saying. That fifth-year option's got to be $20 million, 18. You know what I mean? It's upper teens. I don't know if maybe it's not. Maybe 20's too rich. It's going to be closer to 20 than it is 10. So you're paying him damn good money next year. So he's playing. You know what I mean? And so I wonder. I don't know if they're going to try to do something like Jalen Walker, where if maybe they think they're going to let Abdul Carter or like rookie Micah Parsons, when he actually did line up in his stackbacker position and then he blitzed or moved down in past specific situations. Like, I don't know if maybe they're going to give that a go in New York and maybe see if they can do that just to get all those guys on the field together. Like, I don't know if maybe that's something that's going to happen. But, yeah, I'm interested to see how they use them for sure. You said Trevor Lawrence is underrated. Oh, man. No, I think Trevor Lawrence may be one of, if not the most overrated quarterbacks in the league, bro. That's where we disagree. Respectfully. That's where I got to draw the line, man. Trevor Lawrence may be a lot of things. He damn sure not underrated. And especially you not underrated. They gave him $55 million a year. I don't know why. Just because he's been there. They gave him $55 million a year. He's not underrated. Hell no. There's nobody making $55 million a year that's underrated. You're either worth the money or you're overrated when you're getting $55 million a year. And he ain't been worth 55. So that means in my book, he's overrated. I got to disagree with you on that one, bro. I ain't going to lie to you. Now, with this new offense coming in, Liam Cohen coming in, right? Brian Thomas Jr. was a stud. And Brian Thomas Jr. went crazy. Brian Thomas Jr. went crazy and got off the way he did. And Trevor Lawrence wasn't even the quarterback. It's Mac Jones. And you know what I mean? So Trevor Lawrence has a little bit of a target on his back. His seat's a little warm. He's got to produce. Because, going to getting Brian Thomas Jr., him being arguably a top 10 receiver in the league last year as a rookie. And then now going to get Travis Hunter. And the price they paid to get Travis Hunter. They gave up next year's first to move up 3 spots. From 5 to 2, they gave up next year's first for Travis Hunter. So it's got to work. It's got to work for Trevor Lawrence. So yeah, he's on a little bit of a hot seat, I think. I think he's on a little bit of a hot seat. Matter of fact, let me check and see what else the Jaguars did in the draft. Yeah, Travis Hunter. I love that. That Travis Hunter pick is probably still my favorite pick of the draft. I'm not going to lie. Like, it was aggressive. It was expensive. But I love it. Because I love his fit on that team. I really do. Caleb Renshaw in the 3rd round from safety from Tulane. It's solid. Wyatt Millum from West Virginia. Now, that's a good depth piece on that offensive line. Bashal Tutin. Oh, I love that pick. Travis Hunter and Bashal Tutin are both. Bashal Tutin was a top 50 player on my board. Bashal Tutin was a top 50 player on my board. Bashal Tutin. No, I'm lying. I was confusing him with RJ Harvey. Bashal Tutin was a top 75 player on my board, for sure. And they got him at pick 104. He was my running back 4, I want to say. I think I had Ashton Genty in a tier by himself, RJ Harvey, and then, honestly, it was between Amarian Hampton and Bashal Tutin. Amarian Hampton and Bashal Tutin were 3 and 4 for me. And then 5 is where I got into DJ Giddens and Travion Henderson. Kind of that kind of mix. Like those 2 guys were 4 and 5. So Bashal Tutin to me is a stud. And yeah, Travis Etienne. Is it Travis Etienne or Trevor? Whichever Etienne brothers in Jacksonville. I wasn't a fan of him coming in from Clemson. My dog Chop, if he's still here, I think that was his running back 1. He was a big fan of him. I just didn't like his game. Something about it I didn't like. And he hasn't proven himself in Jacksonville. Now, he was an upgrade over James Robinson at the time, so I'm not mad at the draft pick, but just me personally, for my taste, I just wasn't necessarily a fan. But Bashal Tootin and Travis Hunter, that's dangerous. And so now Liam Cohen coming in from the Bucks as well. We saw what Liam Cohen was able to get out of Bucky Irving last year as a rookie running back in Tampa Bay. And so now Bashal Tootin is way more talented or explosive for sure of an athlete and of a runner than Bucky Irving was. I love that pick. That's one of my favorite picks of the draft. Travis Hunter, the move to get Travis Hunter is probably my favorite pick of the whole draft. And then them getting Bashal Tootin at 104, who's a top 75 player, a top 5 back for me on my personal board. A pick. Loved him. You a Clemson guy. Yeah, see, I'm not gonna lie, man. I didn't love ETN. And then honestly, if I'm being honest, I didn't love Najee Harris that year either. Even like I'm a Steelers fan. You know what I'm saying? You see what's going on? Big nation business. I'm a Steelers fan, but I wasn't a big Najee Harris guy that year either, though. And those were the top 2 backs taken. But the back that I liked the most that year, honestly, was Javonte Williams. Javonte Williams from North Carolina, dog. Oh yeah, you're from Carolina. Javonte Williams, that was his class as well. And I liked him. He was my favorite running back of that class. I had Javonte Williams, then Najee Harris. Then I think I had ETN. And then I believe I may have had either the backup from North Carolina, Michael Carter, or I feel like I'm forgetting somebody. There might have been somebody else at 4. But yeah. He said he took the trash dash to the divisional end of Tennessee. No, he did. And thankfully, you know why y'all got to the divisional? Because y'all played because Justin Herbert, where my dog Chop at, man? Jay Herbo. Because Justin Herbert is overrated. Justin Herbert's overrated. Y'all won that playoff game. I think Justin Herbert, and it was in Jacksonville, because y'all was a division winner. So on the road, Justin Herbert and the Chargers were up like 27-0 in that game. Oh! It's happened. It's happened, guys. Shadeur watch is over. Shadeur watch is over. The Cleveland Browns have drafted Shadeur Sanders. Shadeur Sanders has been drafted by the Cleveland Browns at pick 144. The 5th round, pick 144. Shadeur Sanders goes to the Browns. Oh, man, Chop, I can't wait to talk to you about it. Honestly, I don't understand why it took this long, honestly. And the fact that they drafted Dylan Gabriel in the 3rd round. Dylan damn Gabriel, man. Come on now. But that's the thing about it. Value. Why draft Shadeur in the 3rd if we can get him in the 5th? And they got him in the 5th. That's an A+ pick. Hold on. Drafted by Cleveland. Come on, man. How we feeling? I'm clapping, even though it's Cleveland. Even though it's the Brownies. I'm clapping, man. I'm clapping. And this is the thing, like, this has been his best fit all along, in my opinion, though, y'all. This has been his best fit all along. I told my dog Chop that. I've talked to people about it. I think Cleveland, with Kevin Stefanski, that offense, what they could put around him, a strong defense, that team generally has a strong running game. Now, Nick Chubb got injured. They had to replace Nick Chubb, and they had to rebuild that running game. But they're building that team up. They went and got Jerry Jeudy, who had a Pro Bowl season, his first season there. So, like, they're trying to build weapons around him. They do have to kind of revamp that offensive line, but that was the place that I always thought was probably the best fit for him. Let's go. Come on, man. Let's go, Shadeur. Man, hey, yeah, no, and I talked about that as well. Going in round 5 instead of round 1, bro, he lost $30 million today. Man, it finally happened. Hey, Elvis Plays Road. Hey, said after all that, it finally happened for sure. It finally happened. It finally happened. Man, I'm not gonna lie, man. I would have liked to see my Steelers do it. I would have liked to have saw my Steelers do it, man. And see, that's the thing. Like, not everyone, like he wasn't a clear cut just on raw grade alone. If I'm being honest, just on raw grade alone, he wasn't a clear cut first round quarterback. I think he was a quarterback that was warranted of a first round pick because, like, and I've said this before, like I saw Teddy Bridgewater get picked in the first round. I saw Blake Bortles get picked in the top 5. I saw Johnny Manziel go in the top 25. I saw Tim Tebow, no, Tim Tebow in the first round. Yeah, I think Tim Tebow was in the top 25. I've seen Blaine Gabbert, Jake Locker. So he's a warranted first round caliber quarterback. Because like I said, I've seen worse. Period. Trey Lance, Zach Wilson, all these names. And so it doesn't mean that just because bad quarterbacks do get picked, that doesn't mean that we have to pick him too. I'm not saying that. But I'm saying when we do look at these guys as prospects, when we see those guys, there's no reason at all that he shouldn't have been in that same style of consideration or held in that same style of value. Especially in this draft class. If he's in last year's draft class, he's probably not a first round quarterback. I don't know if he goes ahead of any of those guys last year. He's not going to go above Caleb Williams, Jaden Daniels. He would. Now, I wasn't a big Drake May fan, but he wasn't going to go above Drake May. He wouldn't have went above Cam Ward. If him and Cam Ward were in last year's draft class, he wasn't going above Cam Ward still even last year. I think Cam Ward last year may have been in consideration in place of Michael Penix, right? I liked Michael Penix though, but I don't know if I'd have took Shadeur ahead of Michael Penix. Now I would have probably had him above Drake May, and I'd have had him above Bo Nix because that's just how my board fell. Or well, I don't know. I haven't put real thought into that. But just conversationally, even for myself, like he enters the conversation for me right there. There's 5-6 guys that are probably still going to be ahead of him in last year's draft, including Cam Ward, right? Before I would think I would rank him. So he's not necessarily a clear cut just one. Jaden Daniels is a first round quarterback in any draft he gets into. Caleb Williams as a prospect is a first round quarterback in any draft he gets into. I don't necessarily think Shadeur was a first round quarterback in any draft of any time in history. I don't necessarily think that. In this year's draft, I think so. In worst case, I definitely think he was top 40. So Tyler Shuck going to New Orleans at 40. There's no reason that should have been Shadeur Sanders. There's no reason that should have been Shadeur Sanders. Good luck. It's still the Browns. It's still the Browns. The Browns are going Browns, man. You crazy as hell. The Browns are going Browns now. It's still the Browns. But I'm not gonna lie, man. I'm glad he got drafted. I'm not gonna lie. I'm glad he got drafted. And here's the thing about it, Chop. And it's kind of like I was saying. The Cleveland was the best fit for him all along, in my opinion. I think Cleveland was the best fit for him all along. Like that offense, that Kevin Stefanski offense plays to his strengths. I think it really does. And Cleveland has shown that they can put together a team that can compete. They can put together a team that is able to compete, but they generally fall short because of the quarterback. Similar to a lesser degree to my Steelers. We could put together a team that can compete, but we can't get anywhere, can't get over the hump because we don't have the right guy behind the pulling the trigger. We haven't been able to find that guy. Now, here's the thing about this. Chop. He's going to start. He's going to start. You don't think he's beating out Kenny Pickett, Dylan Gabriel? He's going to start. And that's the thing about the draft. The draft, and I've been saying this all day. I've been saying this in my own, like I always say this. The draft is just as much about value as it is about getting the right player. I think he was the right player for them all along. But why draft him at pick number 2 if we could draft him at pick number 144? Why draft him at pick number 5 after we trade back if we could pick him at 144? Why pick him at pick 36 or 38? I think they had 2 seconds. Like, why does Cleveland, like, it's better business for Cleveland to take a guy at 144. It's better business, it's better value getting them here than getting them at any other point. It's a fantastic pick. And they got a starter. How many people draft a day 1 starter in the 5th round? The Cleveland Browns drafted a day 1 starter in the 5th round. Tom Brady went to 6. He wasn't no day 1 starter. He wasn't expected to ever be a starter. You know what I mean? Like, no, it doesn't happen. There's no guys that get drafted in this position that are likely going to be a day 1 starter. Russell Wilson was a day 1 starter, and it wasn't expected either. When he went to Seattle, he wasn't expected to be the day 1 starter, but he went in round 3. Russell Wilson was a day 1 starter as rookie at round 3, and that was fantastic value. And now Shadeur in round 5 is probably going to be a day 1 starter in Cleveland. Cleveland did their thing. Shit, I ain't mad at them. And they still covered themselves in case it don't work. Because they still got 2 first-round picks next year. If they don't like Shadeur inside the building, if those rumors are true and people just don't want to deal with him, if that's true, or if he just doesn't work out, then guess what? They still got 2 first-round picks next year to make a move and go get a guy at the top of the draft. It's an excellent draft by Cleveland. I can't hate on it at all. Let me see what the rest of their class look like. I can't hate on what Cleveland did at all, bro. Mason Graham was a stud. Mason Graham was a top 5 player in the draft. I didn't think he was a blue chip, but he's a top 5 player in this class. They got him at 5. I didn't like that pick, not because of the player, but I don't like passing on 2 blue chip players to get him because I don't think he's a blue chip difference maker. But he is a damn good player. I wouldn't have passed on Travis Hunter or Abdul Carter necessarily for Mason Graham. But the fact that they did it, stashed some extra picks this year and next year, and the fact that they still end up getting the quarterback that they probably wanted all along anyway, but they got him in the 5th. Man, that's fantastic draft work. Andrew Berry in Cleveland. Carson Schlesinger. Now, he's a little up and down depending on how you feel, but by and large, he's a stud. He can play. Needs to get a little stronger. He gets put on his pockets a little too much for me. But stud, that's a great pick. JOK. JOK, he has the gruesome injury he's dealing with. Who knows if and when he'll be back, and if and when he does get back, how long it'll take for him to get back to the player he was if he gets back there. So that was definitely a need pick, and that's a highly touted guy. That's a good pick. Quinshon Judkins at pick 36 to revamp that running game from what you had with Nick Chubb. Now, Quinshon Judkins wasn't, like, he was in my top 10 backs, but he was probably, I think he was between 6 and 8. 6 and 8, 6 and 9, something like that. But still a damn good back. Great pick. Harold Fannin Jr., my dog Chop. Chop was a big Harold Fannin Jr. fan. They get him in there to add him to that tight end room with David Njoku, great pick. Dylan Gabriel at 94, that's the one that was a little bit of a head scratcher. But you know why that's not a bad pick? It's not a bad pick because they got him at 94, and then they still got Shadeur at 144. So I can't even be mad at that pick. Dylan Sampson, speedy running back out of Tennessee. Cleveland's having a hell of a draft. Now, Dylan Sampson was another guy. I wasn't quite as high on him as some other guys. There were some people that thought Dylan Sampson was going to go in round 2. Some people had Dylan Sampson as a possibility for round 2. Now, I wasn't one of those. He was in my top 10, but I think he was like 9. I think he was right behind Quinshon Judkins. But man, hey, look, Cleveland dominated the draft. Hey, yes, sir. Cleveland has dominated this draft. My God. These are studs. Mason Graham is a day 1 starter, and he's going to be a damn good player playing next to Myles Garrett. He's a stud. Carson Schlesinger is going to start at linebacker day 1. There's 2 starters. First 2 picks are 2 starters. Third pick, Quinshon Judkins, running back Ohio State, starter. Day 1. 3 starters with their first 3 picks. Harold Fannin Jr., third round, top of the 3rd round. He's not going to start, but he's going to be a nice compliment, a nice pick that they can develop and work in with David Njoku, but he's going to contribute. They've got 3 starters and a contributor. Dylan Gabriel is a career backup in my mind. I think Dylan Gabriel, if it works out with Shadeur, Dylan Gabriel will be Shadeur Sanders' backup for the next 10 years if it works out for both of them there in Cleveland. But still, I don't hate him as a prospect. I didn't value him above Shadeur Sanders, but I don't hate him as a prospect. Dylan Sampson, that's a nice thunder and lightning. Quinshon Judkins and Dylan Sampson is going to give shades of Quinshon Judkins and Travion Henderson. A speedy, slashing, vertical complement back to Quinshon Judkins' hammer downhill style. So they got that 1-2 punch, but now they just got Dylan Sampson instead of Travion Henderson. And then after all that, then you get Shadeur. That's a damn good draft, Cleveland. Hell yeah. That's a damn good draft. Cleveland did their thing, boy. We still gonna smack the dog shit out of them when they play Pittsburgh. It is what it is. But man, hey, I'm happy for them. I like the situation. I can tell you that. I like that coach. I like that coach and that scheme. I like what they did in the draft for sure. And honestly, I like that fit. I think it's better for him to wind up here, even with everything he went through. It's better for him to wind up here than, I like this for him better than him going pick 40 to the Saints. I like this fit better. I think it's a better fit. I think Cleveland's having a better draft. And honestly, Cleveland's ready to be competitive sooner than the Saints. 2 years ago with Joe Flacco, Cleveland was in the playoffs and it was thought they was going to make some noise. And then they got spanked by the Texans. Myles Garrett was y'all defensive player of the year. He got sat on the shelf all day by Laramie Tunsil, soft ass. But still, Cleveland's not that far off from competing. And so, no, I love this, man. I love that for Shadeur. I'm happy for him. But no, that's the thing, Chop. The people who looked at him and evaluated him, this is where they valued him. He was valued by 32 teams as a 5th-round quarterback. Or not even to say specifically a 5th-round quarterback. Let's not even be that specific. But he wasn't valued as a 1st-round quarterback. And that didn't just pop up. If you've been following, and I don't know how deep you still follow all this stuff, you know what I'm saying, without doing the show, but if you follow it, there's been a lot of smoke about him not being a 1st-round. People were saying that they didn't think he was a 1st-round quarterback when you actually went and looked at the tape. And I was talking about it a second ago. It's in every draft class, I don't think he's a 1st-round quarterback in every draft class. Jaden Daniels, for me, was a 1st-round quarterback in any draft class he goes to. Caleb Williams was a 1st-round quarterback in any draft class he goes to. Cam Newton, Andrew Luck, RG3. There are guys that are 1st-round quarterbacks regardless of what class they in. Kenny Pickett's not a 1st-round draft pick in most drafts. But he was because he was getting drafted in the right year with the right need. So Shadeur wasn't necessarily a blue chip round one quarterback just for every draft. Like if Shadeur was in last year's draft, he probably isn't a first round quarterback. I would have thought he still went round two, but that's the realistic range that a lot of people had on Shadeur. Like instead of him being a lock to be a top 10 pick, he was more so a 25 to 40 pick. Like a mid first, top of the second grade, just individual grade. Now in this year, because the quarterback class is so weak, well then yeah, of course it gets elevated. But just on his own, he's for most people, for a lot of people, myself included, honestly, if I'm being honest. Because if I'm being honest, he wasn't better than Caleb Williams was last year coming in. He wouldn't have been better than Jaden Daniels. He wouldn't have been if him and Cam Ward were both in last year's class. I still think Cam Ward still goes above him. I think Michael Penix, because I liked Michael Penix. Michael Penix may still probably would have went ahead of him as well. In my opinion, I'd have probably had Michael Penix right above him. But then I think is where I can start to enter Shadeur into the conversation. Because I wasn't a big Drake May fan. I wasn't a big Bo Nix fan. You know what I'm saying? I wasn't high on those guys. So for me, he probably would have. Oh no, and I liked JJ McCarthy a lot last year too. So I think, him and JJ for me may have been close. I liked JJ McCarthy, bro. I think there was a lot there with JJ McCarthy. JJ McCarthy was one of the more surprising guys from last year's draft when I watched this tape. So I think it'd have been interesting to see how I felt about him and JJ McCarthy, but it's no guarantee. So at best, he may have been my QB 5. Maybe. But likely probably QB 6. So he may not have been in the first round last year. So I think he's the type of player that it will be more specific on what's available in that draft. So in this year's draft, I think definitely he was warranted to be a first round quarterback for sure. And at the very least, a top 40 quarterback. Tyler Shuck went to the Saints at 40. So at the minimum, or at the worst case, I would have thought that'd have been Shadeur. You know what I'm saying? And so, now he did fall extra. You know what I mean? I mean, he did fall extra, I guess, technically. But then the thing about it as well is that historically, the second round isn't a big quarterback round historically anyway. And I didn't even realize this myself. There's been 2 quarterbacks to go in the top 5 picks of the second round in the last 30 years. One of them was Drew Brees, who was the first pick of the second round when he got drafted by the Chargers. And then the other one, there hadn't been one since Drew Brees until 3 years ago. I think 3 years ago with Will Levis, when Will Levis went at the top of the second round to the Titans. Other than them two, the second round generally just isn't a big quarterback round. Because the thing about it is, if you're going to draft a quarterback in the second round, you might as well get him in the first round because of the 5th-year option. So that's why we normally don't see a lot of second-round quarterbacks, because the value doesn't line up. Quarterbacks normally go first or third. If you're not a first rounder, you're a third rounder. That's why Jackson Dart for me was a third rounder, because I didn't think he was a first-round quarterback. And I wouldn't draft him in the second, because if I like him enough to take him in the top of the second, I should go ahead and take him in the first and get the 5th-year option. I didn't like him that much. That's why Jackson Dart for me was a third-round quarterback. Oh yeah, Chubb is done, man. Yeah, Chubb is done. I think he was injured and they redid his deal. He took a huge pay cut last year as well. But I think he's a free agent. I think last year was the last year of that deal. They reworked it to not cut him. So I think he's gone. Hey man, look, Laramie Tunsil said, Laramie Tunsil put all pause on Myles Garrett. Myles Garrett didn't fight back one time that game. Watching that game, I was like, man, I can't believe y'all done gave Myles Garrett TJ Watt's Defensive Player of the Year award, and look at this shit. Laramie Tunsil out there, man, look, just like this. Chop, just like this. Hey, Myles, sit up here. I'll be back to get you in a minute. Laramie Tunsil put that boy in a box, man. He couldn't do nothing about it. That was y'all Defensive Player of the Year, though. That was y'all's defensive player of the year, man. That's what happened. That's what happened. But no, but Myles Garrett is a stud. He's a stud. He said new Aaron Rodgers profile pic. Oh, you changed your profile pic to Aaron Rodgers. The Colts get DJ Giddens. I like DJ Giddens, man. I like DJ Giddens. I like DJ Giddens. Man. Hey, you know what, Chop? I'll tell you who DJ Giddens put me in the mind of. You're going to hate this. You're going to hate this. But I'll tell you. He reminded me, and not on that level, right? I'm not saying if this guy's varsity, I'm talking about JV. He reminded me of a JV Ty Gurley, man. He really put me in the mind of like a JV Ty Gurley. Because he's got bigger, he's bigger than you would, he's a bigger back, because he's like 6 foot, like 210, 215. He's a bigger back, but he's shifty. He's got he's got more burst and agility agility and wiggle than you would expect for like a kind of a taller, leaner back. And he's got more speed than I think people underestimate his speed. Because like Ty Gurley had breakaway speed, but he was also a long strider. And so he didn't always like look fast. But then you see him outrun an angle and he goes 60 yards up the sideline to the house. Like DJ Giddens gave me that type of feel. Honestly, I thought he was like diet Ty Gurley, bro. JV Ty Gurley. I really like DJ Giddens a lot. I really liked him a lot. Okay. And matter of fact, how long? Oh yeah, we about 2.5 hours in. I tell y'all what, my lunch is ready. I don't know how much longer I'm gonna stick around, man. Because like I said, this was the goal of this. The goal of today's show was to see Shadeur Sanders get drafted. It took longer than I thought. I didn't know I was gonna be on this long. I thought for sure, honestly, I thought the Steelers were gonna pick him with our 4th round pick, 123. And so I wanted to be on video to talk about Shadeur going to the Steelers. That's what I thought was going to happen. I was wrong. And so it lasted quite a bit longer than I thought. But be that as it may, man, it's still a good pick. 144. And he still goes to the Browns. Damn. Damn. But hold on. I'll tell you what. I'm going to take a quick. Oh, man, my Steelers are coming up. All right. I'm going to refresh my drink. I'll be right back. Y'all hang out and keep yourselves entertained in the chat or something. I'll be right back. All right, we back. Oh yeah, I appreciate you, Mama. I appreciate you. I was gonna say my Steelers are coming up in I think 2 picks, and so I think I'm gonna probably see who my Steelers pick, and then yeah, I'll probably close it on down. I'll probably close it on down after the Steelers pick. Marcus Mbo just went to the Giants. That's a good pick. That's a good pick. I don't know if he'll play guard or tackle. I know he was a tackle, but he may actually move inside the guard. But Very athletic, very good movement skills. He's got shorter arms a little bit, so he may play guard, but that's a good pick. I like Marcus Mbo. I like Marcus Mbo. All right, let me see what my Steelers gonna do. I'm gonna see what my Steelers do. Then I'm gonna probably call it, y'all. We're gonna probably call it. Man, Shadeur to the Browns had pick in the 5th round, dog. Man, that still blows my mind. That still blows my mind. Man, that blows my mind, man. I can't get over it. Let me see who's on the big board. Who's still hanging out that shouldn't be? Jeffrey Bossa. I'm looking at Bleacher Report's big board. Jeffrey Bossa. They had Jeffrey Bossa picked as the 62nd best prospect. Well, that was over. That was a little high. They got him at 61 or 62. That's a little steep now. That's steep. I think he was like where he is now, man. Probably a day 3 guy. I don't think he was a day 2 guy. 2nd or 3rd round, 5th, 6th round. I think that's more better value. Damian Martinez is a nice power back from Miami. I liked him too, but they had him as the 68th ranked prospect. That's probably a little high for me too. I think day 3. I think there's a lot of the running back class was just so deep. I mean, it was a very deep class, so there's a lot of these guys on day 3 that are damn good players. I think Damian Martinez was one of those. I wonder if this is going to be Will Howard for my Steelers. Will Howard, the quarterback from Ohio State, is a guy that we were, rumored that we were kind of looking at to be a, backup guy, athletic, big body guy to kind of sit on the bench and whatever. And so, especially now with Shadeur gone, we're in the 5th round. I wouldn't be surprised if the Steelers go with Will Howard. Oh, now we done traded our pick? Come on, man. What did we get for that trade? My Steelers that traded our pick to Kansas City. So are we going to pick in this round? Does Kansas City? What we give up? Or what we get back in return? The Steelers have traded. Okay, now we're going to pick 164. All right. I thought I was about to get off and eat lunch. Now I got to wait because now we just traded down to 164. So I wonder if we still going to get Will Howard at 164. I think Will Howard was definitely one of those guys kind of shortlisted to end up in Pittsburgh. And I don't hate it. I don't hate it at all. I would have loved to see Shadeur with our 4th round pick. I don't necessarily love the Jack Sawyer pick. I don't hate it, but I don't necessarily love it, honestly. I'd much rather have Shadeur at pick 123 than Jack Sawyer. I'm not gonna lie to you. I'm not gonna lie to you. Let me see. Yeah, 164 is where my Steelers gonna pick now. Why y'all do this to me? I thought it was perfect timing. It's all good. I wish they announced the draft details. I want to know what all we picked up. Oh, here we go. Yeah. 164 and 226. Okay, so we moved back 8 spots and picked up a 7th rounder. What, 226? Is that a 7th? Or is that a bottom 6th or a 7th round pick? I mean, yeah. I guess. Like I said, especially if it's gonna be Will Howard, pick up an extra bottom of the draft pick to get the same guy. Okay. Jeffrey Bossa, we just talked about him. So Jeffrey Bossa goes to Kansas City. Linebacker, but I thought he also had some like rush ability, if I remember right. He's listed lighter than I thought he was, 6'1", 226. I don't know why I thought he was more closer to that kind of tweener size, like maybe like a Jalen Walker. I don't know why I thought he was. Maybe I'm misremembering. I don't know why I was thinking he may have been closer to like 240. He had some pass rush kind of ability. Who am I confusing him with? But no, I like that pick though. Like I said, especially here in the 5th round. Bleacher Report had him, like I said, as a top 60 player or like a round 2 type of player. That felt a little high. That felt a little premium for me. But yeah, 4th, 5th round, 5th round, honestly, yeah, that's a good pick. That's a good pick. That's a good pick. Now I gotta wait to see my Steelers pick Will Howard at 164. Let's see. Come on. Elijah Roberts going to Tampa Bay. Now my Steelers want to trade down in the draft and make me wait. Now they want to make me wait. Come on, Pittsburgh, you're killing me. Come on, Pittsburgh, you're killing me. Let me look at the board and see who I want. I would assume it's gonna be Will Howard. We weren't leaving this weekend without some style of quarterback, somebody to put on the bench. Like that was happening. Will Howard was the guy that was the popular name that I kept hearing. And I can see it. Like it makes sense. Like I can like I see the fit as well. So I don't want to just say that. And especially like around this time. Like I think that talk was gonna start around like round 4. I think round 4 was what I've been hearing. Will Howard in round 4 is a popular fit or placement for us, is what Steelers News was saying. So I've already kind of geared myself for that to be the pick. Now we end up passing on Shadeur and taking Jack Sawyer right there. But now in round 5, I think it would definitely make sense. Now in round 5, I think it would definitely make sense. Okay, let me see who's on the board. Yeah, I would think Will. I would think. I mean, for me, it looks like Will Howard is the guy. Damian Martinez is a nice, thumping power back, but we don't need him. I mean, you know what I mean? We don't need him. And also, like in our wide zone, I don't think he necessarily fits. Kobe Bryant's a feisty corner from Kansas. I don't necessarily think we need him. Like Will Howard is who I keep coming back to, man. I'm not gonna lie, I thought Chris Paul Jr. may have been drafted by now. Linebacker from Mississippi. I would have thought maybe he'd be drafted by now, but not from my Steelers, but just looking at the board. Chops dog, Isaiah Bond still on the board. IT, what's going on? Yeah, he finally got drafted. The Browns, the Cleveland Browns picked him in the 5th round. He got picked like 10 picks ago by the Cleveland Browns. Thank you. Yeah, he finally got picked in the 5th round to the Cleveland Browns, Auntie. Yep. I like the fit as well. So he's playing right. He's playing up there in Ohio with y'all. Y'all get to watch him every week. Yeah, it was the sixth pick in the fifth round. Auntie, if you still on there, if you get a chance now, go to my YouTube and go ahead and subscribe for me. Go ahead and subscribe to that YouTube page for me. Drop a like or so, if you don't mind. I'm waiting for my Steelers to make our next pick, our last pick of this round, and then I'm gonna go ahead and call it a show. We've been going for about almost. We're creeping up on 3 hours. I don't think we'll make it a full 3 hours, but we creeping along. Yeah, I'm thinking Steeler Nation. I think it's definitely gonna be. I think it's gonna be Will Howard. I'm looking. Will Howard makes the most sense to me at this point. I think it'll be Will Howard. I think it's gonna be Will Howard. All right. 5 picks away, Pittsburgh. 5 picks away. Now, see, I was supposed to be off right now so I could eat my lunch in peace. Now y'all just have to watch me eat. Because the Steelers and the Chiefs decided to trade picks. So now I gotta wait. All right, come on, Green Bay. Y'all taking too long now. I'm ready to see my Steelers pick. Okay. Packers take a linebacker. Come on, y'all. I'm trying to see my Steelers pick now. What a crazy draft. Hey, man, exactly, bro. Exactly. But I'm not gonna lie, bro. Cleveland had a hell of a draft. That I was telling Chop, like in my mind, I thought Cleveland was always the best fit for him anyway. And now, like looking at the draft class that Cleveland put together, and they still got 2 first-round picks next year because of that trade with Jacksonville. Bro, Cleveland had a hell of a draft. I got to give it to him. And he's gonna start. Ain't no way he's not gonna start over Kenny Pickett and Dylan Gabriel. So he's gonna start. Cleveland got a starting quarterback in the 5th round. They played it beautifully. I ain't gonna lie, they played it beautifully. They played it beautifully, bro. I'm trying to see my Steelers draft pick so I can go ahead and call it. We traded picks with Kansas City. Now I gotta wait like 5 more picks. Goodness gracious. But yeah, y'all be all right. My vibes on mute. Now, fifth round is wild though. It really is. Like if you say you didn't want him in the first round, like all right. But the fifth round is crazy. My goodness. Even the Browns, bro. Dylan Gabriel went to the Browns at 94. What are we doing? Dylan Gabriel got drafted by the Browns at pick 94. Then they came back and got Shadeur at pick 144. That's wild. Dylan Gabriel got picked 50 spots ahead of Shadeur by the same team. My God. That's wild, man. That's wild. San Francisco taking their time, man. Thank God, Lee. Don't nobody want to see me. Don't nobody want me to see the Steelers pick. That's what we doing. I'm not gonna lie. I like that Jalen Milroe pick to the Seahawks as well, man. I like it. I like it. It puts me in the mind of like Malik Willis playing for Green Bay. You know what I mean? Like let him sit there and have a chance to really kind of grow and mature. Because Malik Willis, in the little bit of time we got to see him in Green Bay versus what we saw for him in Tennessee, was night and day a better player. You know what I mean? And so if Jalen Milroe is able to, grow or be developed like in that way, then man, that could definitely pay some dividends here like 3 years down the road or whenever they get done with that Sam Darnold contract. Who to pick Quinn Ewers? Dog, if this is my hell no. Nah. Oh, somebody just talking about Cam Ewers. I'm about to say, boy, I don't want to see Cam Ewers in Pittsburgh. I'm assuming it's gonna be Will Howard, man. Will Howard is the pick that makes sense to me. Cause we got to draft a quarterback this weekend for sure. Will Howard is the guy that's been rumored. I think Will Howard is the guy that makes sense, especially at this point. Dylan Gabriel went 50 picks before Shadeur Sanders to the same team. That's crazy. It's crazy. All right, come on, Pittsburgh. Where we at? I think, 4 picks until Pittsburgh? Boy, they taking their time, ain't they? Goodness gracious. 1, 2. No, 3 picks. 3 picks until my Steelers, and then I'm going to call it. Goodness gracious. Oh, man, I missed that Jaden Blue going to the Cowboys. I think we was talking about Shadeur. But Jaden Blue, man, from UT. Hey, matter of fact, Tom, I don't know if he's still on here. I think Bowser called me to talk about Jaden Blue like a couple months ago. I guess either he from Beaumont or like that Beaumont Port Arthur area. I know Bowser was telling me that like he didn't know him all his life. I guess like he knew his big brother or something like that. But yeah, he was telling me I need to check out Jaden Blue a few months ago. But he goes to Dallas, okay. Got speed for days for sure. I don't necessarily like his vision. Jets just took a linebacker. Come on, Pittsburgh. Y'all taking all day, man. All right. I'm not gonna lie, man. I'm trying to think who, like, my favorite draft class. Like, off the top of my mind, it's hard for me to just not be a prisoner of the moment and go with Cleveland. Getting arguably the second best quarterback in the class, getting what should be a starting quarterback as well in the 5th round is crazy. And just the moves they made. Like, I don't necessarily love that trade passing on Travis Hunter and Abdul Carter for Mason Graham. I don't necessarily love that. Like, I don't want to pass on blue chip players for a B plus player. There's nothing wrong with a B plus player. B plus players get you 5 Pro Bowls and maybe even an All Pro. You know what I mean? That's a 12-year career. Like, so there's nothing wrong with that. I'm not saying that, but man, well, you got a chance to get one of these blue chip guys, man. I don't know. But they pick up a first. Carson Swessinger, depending on how you feel about him, but that's a solid pick. I expect him to start. Linebacker. Quinshot Judkins is going to start. Dylan Sampson's a nice 1-2 punch with Judkins. A thunder and lightning, just like Judkins had at Ohio State with Travion Henderson. I like that pick. They get Harold Fenton Jr. as well. A chance to, contribute as a tight end, kind of move tight end, H-back kind of guy where they'll just kind of move around for mismatches, complement what they got in David Njoku. Like, I like what the Browns did, man. And they got, they got 2 firsts next year. So even if it doesn't work out with Shadeur, they still get a chance to take another shot at the top of the draft next year because they'll be in position to trade 2 firsts to move up inside likely the top 5. I mean, that's fantastic. That's a fantastic draft. Even if it is the funky-ass Browns, man. I hate to say it. That's a fantastic draft. My favorite pick of the night, probably, honestly, is probably Travis Hunter. The trade from Jacksonville with Cleveland to go get Travis Hunter. I mean, it's pricey. It's expensive now. That next year's first. I think they gave up. Hold on. Yeah. So, I mean, they paid to do it, but like Travis is special. He's blue chip. But what makes him special is like what he can give you on both sides. But everybody isn't willing or able to facilitate that to make it worthwhile. Jacksonville is one of the teams that can get the most out of him, that can maximize what he has to offer. He's instantly the wide receiver 2 to Brian Thomas Jr. I love the thought of that combo. I love that. That's nasty. And then also on the other side of the ball, they got Tyson Campbell at corner. He's been up and down, right? But he's not studly, but he's been up and down, and they had to cash him out because it was time to pay him some money. But he's solid. They went and got Jordan Lewis from the Cowboys in the offseason. They made him the highest paid nickel cornerback in the history of the league. He's a stud. He's a difference maker in the nickel for sure. That other corner spot's wide open. Jerrion Jones from Florida State, I liked him. He was decent. He's not keeping Travis Hunter off the field. So Travis Hunter is instantly your wide receiver 2 and your corner 2 if you choose to do that. You know what I mean? But he's instantly that. Like, man, yeah, man, that's a fantastic. I love it. That's probably my single favorite pick. I love R.J. Harvey going to Denver. R.J. Harvey was my second favorite running back in this draft. Behind Ashton Genty, ahead of Amarion Hampton, ahead of Travion Henderson, ahead of Quinshon Judkins, I had R.J. Harvey running back 2. All right, here we go, man. Come on. Pittsburgh is on the clock. Come on, baby. Let's take me out with a bang. I would think it's got to be Will Howard. I would think it's Will Howard, dog. Quarterback from Ohio State. Not to say I absolutely love Will Howard, but in the 5th round, hell yeah. And schematically for what we want to do, he's a bigger back. He's athletic. He's got a decent enough arm. You know what I mean? He's got things there to work with. I don't think he'll ever be a true starter for you. But in the 5th round, a guy to help fill out that room, as weak as our room is anyway, hell yeah. I'll sign up for that all day long. Give me Will Howard. Come on now. Give me Will Howard. Come on, Pittsburgh. Come on now. Who is it? They taking too long. We taking too long, Pittsburgh. What we doing, man? I mean, I'm thinking like I'm not pressed about anybody else that I'm looking at. I'm watching the Bleacher Report coverage. I've been using their big board to keep track of players and everything. So looking at their available board, Will Howard. I wasn't a big Isaiah Bine guy. My dog Chop was big on Isaiah Bine, but I just don't think we need him. Or you know what I mean? Like that's not. We just be throwing another guy in the room. Zay Alexander, the corner from LSU. I'm not pressed about it. Like it feels like this is the place and time to get a quarterback, and the only one worth taking to me is Will Howard. Only one worth taking to me is Will Howard. So let's see what we do, Pittsburgh. Come on. Come on. Oh, daggone it. Yaya Black, defensive lineman from Iowa. Yaha Black. Man, we went hard on the D-line, man. I got to hear what they say about Yaha Black. I don't know who this is. I don't know about him. I didn't make it. I didn't make it that deep into the draft pool this year. Yeah, it was definitely a point for us, like the Steelers. We definitely were gonna like hammer that defensive line. Like that was definitely a big point of concern for us going into the draft. That's why Derek Harmon in the first round didn't surprise me at all. Like if he was available, he was gonna be the guy for sure. And then we got round 4, we get Jack Sawyer, and so I get it because he is like stout, especially stout at the point of attack. You know what I mean? So like just toughen up that front line for sure. The Ravens ran straight through us in that playoff game. We were just helpless, and so like we definitely revamping that defensive front for sure. That defensive line specifically. So I get it, but you know, it is what it is. But Yaha Black, man, welcome to the squad for sure. I ain't mad at it. Like I said, Will Howard wasn't gonna make or break it. I was just looking at the board. He's only got to make sense. And then hell, we probably still end up getting him tomorrow. Or excuse me, probably still end up getting him later on anyway. We got a 6 and 2 7s, I believe. So Will Howard very well, I would imagine, is still gonna wind up a Steeler. But be that as it may, we just crossed over into the 3-hour mark as well. So man, it's time to call it, man. It's time to call it 3 hours on day 3 of the draft. I don't know if that's what that means for y'all or means for me. We're all sickos here, man. 3 hours on a Sunday watching day 3 of the NFL draft. Something wrong with us. Oh, my dog Chop. I was just been closing out, boy. The Steelers just made our last pick of the 5th round. I was waiting to see it. I was been closing up. But no, so yeah, Chubb is as far as I know, I think he's gone. So he had the injury, remember, 2 years ago. He came back last year, but even before he came back, they reworked his contract. He had to take a big pay cut to stay there, and I think that was the last year of that contract. So he's a free agent, I believe. I believe he's a free agent. But yeah, his time in Cleveland is done, though, for sure. Or I'd be very surprised if otherwise. But as far as I know, his time in Chicago is done. I know they gave him a big pay cut last year. He took it. He played on that, and I think that was the last year of his deal. So, yeah. But yeah, man, no, other than that, man, I'm going to go ahead and call it, man. That's it. That's all for you, dog. 3 hours, man. 3 hours in. We had a mission when we got here, man. We said we were showing up to see Shadeur drafted, and it happened. All right? It took 144 picks, but it happened, man. It is what it is. At the end of the day, and this is the last thing I'll say about it, man. Chop said he's still on the roster, or maybe like I had seen news talking about it, or maybe he's going to be cut. I know they definitely they restructured his contract. He got a big pay cut last year to stay on the team, and so maybe he's going to be like a scheduled cut because there's no guaranteed money. But from all intents and purposes, from what I had seen, like his he was done in Cleveland. But yeah, no, we'll see. Or even now, even if he hasn't been cut officially or whatnot, I don't expect him to be on that roster day one. Like I don't expect him to be on that roster day one. They took Quinshot Judkins at the top of the second, and then they doubled down and went and got Dylan Sampson in the fourth, I think. And so that's gonna be a nice thunder and lightning pairing. So they definitely revamping that room. Yeah, Chubb is out of there. But like I said, the conversation around him though is that like I thought it was already a foregone conclusion or already a done deal that he was, a free agent. But maybe an official move or something has been made. I mean, I don't know. But yeah, that's it. That's all, man. Day 3 is in the books for us now. I'm gonna watch all the picks, but it's in the books for us on the chat for show. Shout out to all the members in the building, man. Shout out to my dog Chop for show. Yeah, I'm gonna hit you. I'm gonna eat a little lunch for real. I'm gonna eat a little lunch, then I'm gonna hit you up for show. Shout out to my dog Tom. Terrible time holding it down for those Houston Texans. I know he was excited about his draft haul this weekend so far. Ariante Ursery, Jaden Higgins, Jalen Noel. So very good haul there for my dog Terrible Time with those Texans. Auntie dropped in and showed some support. I appreciate you as always. Mom Duke's in the building as always. Appreciate you, lady. Said great show. Shout out to Big Nation to the Big Nation family for sure. You know what's going on. Let's see my dog NFL questionnaire tapped in. I appreciate you, homeboy. Y'all make sure y'all go check out his page and run my dog up. Let me see who else stopped by. I'm looking for you. Elvis stopped in the building as well. I appreciate you. Hey, Noah Mills, man. One of them new members, man. I appreciate you, homeboy. I know he said he's from Carolina, but he's a Buffalo Bills fan. We had some good conversation earlier today talking about the Panthers and the Bills, man. So I appreciate you. I hope you hit that like button before you got out of here. Hit that subscribe as well, man. You one of them members, big dog. I appreciate you. Man, hey, I'm looking for y'all. Y'all know what's going on. Look, we say the same thing every week. Feel free to say it with me at home. If I forgot to say your name, damn. Hey, man, my bad. But charge it to my head and don't charge it to my heart. You know we thinking about you, big dog. Appreciate y'all as always, man. I know we took a long break this offseason. It was a longer break than I even intended to tell you the truth, honestly. But now we're making it through the draft. The end of the draft is going to be this afternoon. I'll be back. I want to say I'll probably be back Wednesday. I don't know. I don't think I'm going back into the full-fledged regular scheduling, but I do think I'll probably be back, and maybe we'll do like a more structured like draft recap show. Now that once the draft is fully complete, so we'll probably do something like that. I'm gonna be working to try to get some draft content just out. Those sort of things. Just some of my thoughts, some of my favorite picks, some of my least favorite picks. Most surprising moves, and things like that. So I'm gonna try to work to get that type of content out. For my boxing fans, let me just throw that out there. A little bonus boxing. We got some big fights coming up. Devin Haney, Teofimo Lopez, Ryan Garcia. They're fighting that first weekend of May. I think Canelo's also going to have his in-between bout before the fight with Terrence Crawford. So there's going to be some boxing content coming as well. Be on the lookout for that. But other than that, man, y'all know what it is, man. Tapping with your dog. I appreciate y'all as always. And until Wednesday, for right now, man, we're going to leave it at Wednesday. We'll tap back in, man, and do like an official structure kind of recap of the draft. But until then, y'all be easy, be smooth. Enjoy the rest of y'all weekend. Peace.